Welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. We're here for episode 17, I believe, and we have a special guest today. So today we have one of my good friends from California and someone who has actually beaten me twice now. We're currently 2-1 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ed Acepcion. And is that how you say your last name, Ed?
Acepcion.
Acepcion?
Yeah, Acepcion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your actual last name?
That's crazy because you're not the first person to ever ask that. That's a constant question, and that's just my name.
That's actually your name?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's actually really cool.
Wait, by actually wait, hold on. By actually your name, you mean it is your last name?
Yeah. My government name is 2 letters. It's Ed and then Acepcion.
I wasn't sure if you were saying. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you were saying. Oh no, it's actually my name, as if Ed Acepcion is your whole first name.
Oh no. Yeah, it's Ed Acepcion. Yeah,
that's actually really cool.
Why is it cool though? Because I never got that. Because
it's your name is basically Exception.
Okay.
Your name is Exception. It's kind of a play on words.
Or Deception.
I've heard Deception. I've heard Inception also. So
hopefully not Deception. So Ed, tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, let's get into you and your Yu-Gi-Oh journey and how you got started in the game and that type.
Yeah, so I am 28. I started playing when I was 13.
15 years. Nice.
Yeah, 15 years. But it was one of those weird things where I didn't start traveling until 2015, 2016. So I went to locals all the time, but it took me forever to be convinced to go out and play.
Yeah.
I relatively competent. I've topped more than the average person.
Yes, I was about to say I think you're pretty competent.
Yeah, sure. but the bar is crazy. Oh, I don't want to say it's crazy low, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
you've only been traveling since 2015, 16?
Yeah, my first ever event I ever traveled where I went on a plane was Necross Nationals. And the very first ever time I took a plane because the farthest I've ever went is Vegas or San Jose,
which is still relatively close to
California. 5 hours. Yeah, literally 5 hours max. And the first time I ever flew to an event besides Nationals was 2 months later or 3 months later, which was YCS Dallas, the one with Burning Abyss, the one that Eric Christensen won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you said you're relatively competent. How many tops do you have?
So I'm not the type of guy to know it off the top, but I have it saved on my phone. Hold on.
Yes.
But so here's the thing I want to say. You said you're relatively competent. You have enough tops that you don't know the number.
Yep.
So it's not like it's 1 or 2 tops.
Oh no.
Ed is, he's a modest guy, which I like. Ed is modest. He's not going to be out here listing off his tops. Actually, he's about to be. But normally,
it's way okay. So the reason why I have it written down is it's way cooler having saying it all at once. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds very nice, all at once.
Yeah.
Because in sequential order. Top 16 YCS San Mateo, 4th place YCS Dallas, top 16 YCS Las Vegas, 3rd place YCS Anaheim, top 32 YCS Dallas, top 32 Salt Lake, top 8 Chicago, 3rd place YC Atlanta, 3rd place YCS Peru, top 64 NAWCQ 2016, top 64 NAWCQ 2017, top 8 UDS Sacramento. Those are just the Konami ones.
Yes.
I've topped ARG, and then I get to say I topped PPG. I got to top the whole, the trifecta right now. So.
No, you topped everything that there is. I don't think I went to a PPG event, but you topped everything that you could pretty much top.
That's not Worlds because
same. I've never been to the top of the mountain as far as that goes.
So for anybody listening,
I counted at least 12 Konami tops, which is a lot actually.
Mm-hmm. So for anybody listening and couldn't see my fingers, I counted 12.
Yes, I counted 12 as well. And I counted with my fingers, and I never do that.
Yeah.
Damn, man. So you're a pretty decorated player. And a lot of those, I heard thirds and stuff like that are pretty often. So you actually get pretty deep in top cut sometimes, which is a problem that I tend to have. And so I get knocked out kind of early. But you've gone pretty deep. You've got some prize cards, it sounds like.
Yeah. I remember because the first time I ever brought a prize card back home, my parents didn't believe me. They thought I was because I was oh yeah, I won this $1,000 thing.
Yeah.
And they thought that I was selling drugs to get the $1,000 thing. That's just a common thing that happens when people play Yu-Gi-Oh! Apparently.
Yes. So I have a weird question that I just thought of right now. Out of those tops, Is there a singular card in a deck that is memorable to be like, man, this fucking card, I don't know why, but this carried the event. Like this one card in this deck did some nonsense that really carried the event. It's like something you look back on and you're like, man,
like for every event, or one that is just like, oh, like
just one that you can think about. Not every event ever. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I think what's that card called? Thunder Dragon Colossus.
Oh god.
Like if that's in my deck, I've won a prize card. Like
holy shit.
It like because I got back-to-back thirds. I got third at YCS Atlanta, and then the next event I played, I got third at Peru, just playing Thunder. And Thunder, like people said, like Sky Striker did stuff for people. Like Thunder was just, you know what I mean? It was just so easy. So
was that deck? I didn't get to play during that time, but I did see a couple regionals that I judged, and it looked powerful as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just looked insane.
No, it was definitely like super ignorantly powerful. I don't know if it was the most consistent, but like it doesn't matter if like God himself like stood in front of you.
Yeah.
If you opened up like the 2-card combo, you just win. And
yeah, it was that good. How was the mirror match though? Because I always wonder when decks are that powerful and they kind of have a boss monster that locks down, like Colossus. You can't search, right? Like that's what it does.
Yeah. I think like Thunder is like was one of those decks where if you were really good at it, you beat a lot of people.
Okay,
you know
I like that. I like that a lot.
I was really cool. Like, and it was one weird because it's like a combo mirror match, but like Atlanta specifically, I knew how like the top players were siding, like Jesse, Asala, like all of them. In the Thunder mirror, they would go, you go first, and then side like board breaker cards.
Yeah.
So I played like multiple people who are like in their circle, and then I had like a side deck plan for that already.
Yeah.
They would make me go first, so I just sided Vanity's Fiend. And like they were citing like that dumb card, Electric Virus and stuff like that.
That steals monsters.
Yeah. And if you just have a Fiend monster, it's not a dragon or a machine.
So there's no way to take it.
Yeah. So like I would just like neg 50 cards to summon a Vanity's Fiend, but like I knew the way their side deck would work, so then
that should just run it out. Just lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no.
So I beat 5 mirrors in Swiss, and they were like good, competent players. Like they were people who had infinite tops also. So it was.
You mentioned something about, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Metacalls are so good.
Yes, Metacalls literally win events. I mean, that's, I say it almost every podcast.
That's proof
that is how I won an event, is basically an insane Metacall made by me and my friend McCabe.
But Vanity's Fiend just doesn't go away, I guess.
No. It's actually, that card's been toxic for a long time.
Vanity's Fiend is just so good forever.
Yeah, Vanity's Fiend is wild. I mean, for people who don't know, I'm just going to say it anyway. For people who don't know, Vanity's Fiend is a tribute monster. Can be special summon, but it says that as long as this card is on the field, neither player can special summon monsters. So it just locks down the game. And it's crazy because so many cards that do that are banned, like Royal Oppression, Vanity's Emptiness. There's so many cards like that they just completely took out of the game, but for whatever reason, Vanity's Fiend is still legal. And then they made, Majesty's Fiend?
Yeah, Majesty's Fiend and like...
Majesty's Fiend is
there's no effects.
Neither player can activate monster effects. And it's a light version. It looks like Vanity's Fiend, but it's like a light version of it.
Yeah, like a holy version or something.
Yep. So you mentioned something earlier, Ed, that about you played a bunch of people in a certain circle. Do you have a group of people that you typically play with that are like who's in Ed's circle? Like if people ask me, I would say like Steven Silverman, Sean McCabe, Tom Mack. Like the people in the Philadelphia area are like in my circle.
I guess like my circle would be like we call ourselves Team Ryan's car, because when we were younger, like it was my friend Ryan Murakami. He would just drive us everywhere all the time, and we'd be Team Ryan's car.
I feel like I know Ryan Murakami.
UDS champion.
Okay.
Ryan Murakami. That's my circle is like Zach Stone, Ryan Murakami. I guess Dominic Couch is in my circle because he talks to me, like he's one of my best friends now. Ever since COVID, he's been talking to me every day.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's the thing. Like I'm one of the weird people about it, because my circle was, how like there's some people that come into like to Yu-Gi-Oh and then they hop into like the it circle and then they get really good because they're surrounded by like good players.
Yeah,
like I feel like I've never really had that where it's like my people are just local guys, you know what I mean? And we just like grew together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me too. I was very local, only to the Philadelphia, New Jersey area really. And so when I was younger, and there were all these like Shonen Jump champions, because at the time there wasn't even a YCS, but there were all these Shonen Jump champions. I didn't really know them or anything, even though a lot of them did live close, because back in the day, New York was the king of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like you had Paul Leviton, Shane Scurry, like all of those guys, the whole Overdose basically, and then Adam Korn came in a little later. But New York was really big, but I didn't know them actually, and even if I saw them at an event, I wasn't the type of person to kind of
be like, yo, what's up? Right.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like I wasn't that kind of person. So
no, you got to be the guy that the guy that just walks up and he just stands with the group.
Yep.
And he just walks up and he just kind of chills. And he's quiet. But he just kind of tries to blend in. When you guys go to Wendy's, he might follow the crowd. He might show up at Wendy's. And at some point when nobody says anything, the day ends, you guys in the car going home and you're like, who the fuck was that? Like,
that's the best.
Like, or you just ate Wendy's with us.
Or you have the awkward, like, hey man, what's your name again?
You
have that weird,
exactly
like, moment. Like that.
There's a point where everyone gets quiet, like the awkward human thing where we all get quiet at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we all look at him like, hey, what's your name?
Yeah. My bad. How do I spell your name again?
Yep.
You want to act like, it's like when you're talking to a girl and you don't want to act like you don't know her name. So you go, how do I spell that?
Yes, that's exactly. She's like, it's literally Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe there's an E at the end. Maybe you're French and there's a tilde.
Yeah, but I'm honestly really weird about like Yu-Gi-Oh! And that kind of stuff because
clicks.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. I feel the same way.
I try to be as civil and like as nice as possible, honestly.
Yeah.
But, when I was a kid, there was a lot of really good players in California.
Yes.
And they are just not good people.
Yes. I've heard stories.
And it's so crazy growing up now because like the people who are good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Now are just so nice or willing to sit down and be like, oh yeah, I'm down to talk to some dude I've never talked before. But then growing up in Cali, and Cali was like a hotbed of Yu-Gi-Oh! Talent. You know what I mean? I was real like by myself on that matter. So it was really weird when I started like doing better, and then they would just be like, "Oh, what's up, Ed? How you doing, bro?" And then they tried to get into my circle. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I have a really interesting story about something. Basically, what you just said is how it goes from the and I'm using my fingers here. The pros, right? Like the pro players, pretty much ignoring me before I was a household name and before I started topping and like won an event and stuff like that. And then as soon as that happened, they literally would talk to me without me saying anything. And there's one in particular, I won't go into it right now because I want to use a different name for the person. Very famous Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, one of the biggest of all time. But I was a big fan of his as a kid. And to make a long story short, I tried to speak to him at an event before, and he literally put his headphones on and walked away from me. And this same guy, when I've gone to events after having like 20 plus tops, has come up to me and talked to me as though we're friends. And it's the weirdest thing ever because I don't want to be like an asshole. So I'm just like, hey, what's up, man? And like, I just kind of keep it short and walk away.
But in your head, you're like, we're not friends.
Yeah, like he
yes, we are not friends.
Like we're not
you have
friends.
To be civil. You literally have to be so
the
civil.
craziest thing to me is I know he doesn't remember what he did though. And it has always been one of those things that I'm not going to lie. It kind of ate at me for a long time because it just made me realize how, and this is probably true in other worlds, but in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World, it made me realize how differently people treat you because of who you are. It's a really big problem that we have in the community. And especially now that I'm retired, you see it even more. Like when you're on the outside looking in, it's even worse. I knew it when I was in it. Like I've realized that, special treatment and people being nice to you generally, right? Like that type of thing. But that situation is something that has always been in the back of my mind. Every time I see this guy, it's so weird to me because he doesn't remember it, and I'll never forget. Like it really kind of triggered me, and I was so young, and I was a fan of his. So yeah, I'll talk about it on a podcast one day. But I'm just trying to think about how I want to.
I just get the clout chase through Frazier. Like I get to hang out with people. I just slide in. They're like, "Who's this guy?" And they're like, "I don't know. He came with Frazier."
Well, now everyone knows you at well, you live next to our local anyway, and so everyone in our area knows you.
Yeah, I mean, all the people that were most of the people that would go to that local, I've known just because my whole life. That's the local I went to.
Yeah, it's right next to your house. But yeah, so that's really cool though, Ed. So how did you even get into Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, what was your first Yu-Gi-Oh experience?
My first Yu-Gi-Oh experience was playing like the video games, like first and foremost, like
Okay.
you know, just like stuff like that. And then
Which video games? Because I actually like some of the old, like Duelist of the Roses,
like
Sacred Cards.
2007 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championships.
Okay.
That's what I remember. And yeah, I just played a lot, and I was like, oh man, this game's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
I was one of the few people that never got like I got into the anime now, obviously. Well, not obviously.
You got what? Like, I'm sorry, you cut off for a second. What'd you say?
Yeah, I got into the anime like late into it. Like most people get into Yu-Gi-Oh! By watching the anime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't. It just so happened that I was at an anime convention when I was like 12, 13, and I was like super duper into chess when I was a kid. Like I love puzzles, I love video games and stuff like that. And there was when there was like a chess tournament at Anime Expo. You know, you got to wear like I don't know what it's called, like a cosplay chess tournament. I was in that tournament, but then there was a tournament for Yu-Gi-Oh! And to do it, you had to barter star chips. You know what I mean? Like it was like
like Duelist Kingdom.
At the end of the 3 days, it's a 3-day thing. The people with a certain amount of star chips qualifies to make it into their top cut, a single limb basically, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, whoa, that's like the anime, right?
Yes, that's cool as hell.
I ran back home, I watched the anime, and I was like, this is literally the show. And then I started playing, and then 2 weeks later, I went to a locals and I showed up with like 50 band cards, and people explained, oh man, you can't have Graceful Charity in your deck. That actually got banned like 2 weeks ago. So
that's good.
That's not allowed. And then after that, it's just all history. I just started showing up to locals and stuff like that.
Damn, that's cool. Do you still play chess?
I play chess from time to time. I was super hyped when like chess and all that got really big, so it was really cool.
It randomly got huge on Twitch. Like I don't know what happened.
Well, that show came out on Netflix. What's that show? The Queen's Gambit?
Queen's Gambit, yeah, good show.
That show was insane.
Yes.
Still gotta watch it.
I think I have that show in my top 10 shows of all time. It's that good to me. Like it's actually
I think it's just because it speaks to you, you know what I mean? Like like all Yu-Gi-Oh! Players like resonate with that show.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Yeah, no, so Kenny, I need you to watch that. I'm watching this anime for the podcast now.
I need to watch it. I just have to. I haven't subscribed to Netflix in a while because every other month they raise the price.
They do raise the price often.
They do.
Like I went to go check. I was like, you know what? I'll just go to a lower plan because I think they tried to charge me like $20. I was like, whatever. I'll just manually set myself to a lower plan. And so the $10 plan or whatever is 480p. I was like,
God,
480.
This is that again.
That 480.
I was like, you can't legally sell 480. Like
that's like YouTube in 2007. You know what I mean? Watching like the anime and stuff.
They're pushing crack on the community at that point. Like, they're literally pushing hard on everybody.
So I haven't gotten around to resubscribing.
Yeah,
I might have to find the show on the high seas.
I was gonna say there are places you can go to to One Piece the show, if you know what I mean. you can find the show in One Piece. So what was your first deck that you topped with? Because I know most people remember that as a big deal. I mean, most people remember that as a big deal.
Actually, I do have a story though that I really wanted to tell.
Okay, go ahead.
You said first like Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
Yes.
So my very first regionals I played, I thought I was godly. Like I went on Pojo and I put on Pojo. Do you think an Earth Beatdown can win LA regionals? Because I'm about to. Like literally, like there's like proof of this. And the deck was awful. Like it played like Hammerhead. Like I don't know the dinosaur Hammerhead card. I don't know.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like,
and probably the Gigantes.
It plays Gigantes. It plays like, and it was just a bad deck. Like, it was a good deck, but then I just went on metagame, looked up Earth Beatdown, and then found all the cards that I could, and I couldn't find like a Mirror Force. So I put Goblin Attack Force in my deck. Makes sense, right? When you're a kid. Yeah. And so I enter my first deck, first time in a regional, and I'm super excited. I think I'm gonna win. My combo in high school or middle school was this. It was normal Injection Fairy Lily, Smashing Ground, Attack for 34. FTK. Like no deck can beat that, right? Yep. And then I had 3 Giant Rat in my deck, and I was like, this is impossible. Like I have 4 Injection Fairy Lilies in my deck, right?
She was insane back in the day too. Go ahead.
Yeah, literally crazy. Still one of my favorite cards of all time. So I set Giant Rat and I'm Smashing Ground round 1 of LA regionals, and I'm like, this is insane. I was born to play this game. I opened the combo the very first time.
Not the combo.
Yeah. And my opponent, and what's crazy is I know my opponent now. Like we know each other.
Yeah.
And my opponent goes, normal, this strange fire monster I've never seen before. But I was like, in my head, I was like, look at this idiot. Like,
yeah,
he's just gonna lose. Like, he's so dumb.
Yeah, like look at this guy.
And he attacks the fire monster, and I go, effective giant rat, summon injection fair lily. I'm just like sitting there, just really confident. And then the fire monster turns out to be Gladiator Beast Laquari.
No.
And tags out for Murmillo.
No.
And I have to pick up Murmillo and read it 7 times because I was like, Smashing Grounds at 1. You know what I mean?
How did you just search this from your deck?
Exactly. And then ever since that, that was, and so, a lot of people are like, oh man, like, people just start off good and stuff like that. That was my first ever regional. And I went, I went 5-4. I went 5-4.
That's actually not bad.
No, but 4 of those wins were buys. I started 0-3 and played the entire thing out. But obviously, but when you're like 13, 14, you don't know any better.
Yeah, no.
And then you hear dudes on the side going, I'm X1. And then I was like, I'm X1 also. You know what I mean? But like, you just don't understand that. That's not the
lingo and all that. I remember not knowing what X and anything meant. I was like, what the hell is X1? Like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Man, that is a crazy story.
I'm still sitting on my man Laquari, yo.
Yes.
Yeah, I hate that dude.
That combo. So was this Gladiator Beast format maybe?
This is during Teledad. Like I started my first set was Judgment Dragon set. The one where Gazeris came out. The one where Gazeris came out.
Light of Destruction, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Light of Destruction. So I remember. I think that's what it's called. But I kind of vaguely remember that time because I did play in Teledad. That's what I call the dawn of me becoming a good player. I never got to play in a YCS or Shonen. I guess they were called Shonen Jump Championships back then. But when I did play in one before I had Teledad. So Teledad came out at Shonen Jump Championship Baltimore, which is I think the only time, or the last time at least, that Baltimore has had a Shonen Jump Championship. I don't think they've done it since Teledad. But I went to that event and I played a Lightsworn deck that played like Mizuki and some really big zombies that were like 2,800 and 3,500 or something like that. And it was a really scrubby deck, but basically the goal was just mill a bunch with Solar Recharge and Charge of the Light Brigade, and then hopefully drop JDs and use Mizuki and attack the game. And I actually didn't do too bad. I think I went X and 3. And then I switched over to Teledad immediately, and I remember trivializing all the Glad players. Like that deck, like Glad were so dominant before that, and then you just go D-draw, Malicious Banish, Summon, Teleport, Kribons, Sync for Stardust Dragon, and they could not deal.
Yeah.
And that was the dawn of that. But Gladiator Beasts were a polarizing deck back in the day. That deck,
worst best deck of all time.
But
it's one of those decks where people like they're not creative or they just give up on the format and just like, I'm just play GB. Honestly, it can't be that bad, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh went through a 10-year period of people going back to Glad Beasts. Every time a new ban list would come out, they'd be like, "Wait, Glad Beasts are playable again?" And I'm like, "No, they are not."
No, it's like that meme where it's like never has been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
never has been.
But no, in all seriousness, though, Glad Beasts did have a long time where they were dominant as hell. Like there was a period where Glad Beasts was the only real deck to play. I know people play like Dad Return, but if you go back and try to play that match, it's not. I mean, maybe you can correct the decks now because we know we have so much information, like how Go Control was corrected. But if you go back and play the list that people played for Dad Return or whatever, if you go back and play that deck and then you play Glad Beasts, it's a really hard matchup. It's so hard.
Glad Beasts were so cool to me that I remember I made a Pokemon team in competitive Pokemon based on Gladiator Beast because the move U-turn. U-turn is you attack, and then you go back to the party, and then you get to switch out a new Pokemon. And I made a whole team designed around that and constantly switching to the proper matchup and using U-turn, the scout, and doing all this other stuff. And I named each Pokemon after a Glad Beast. Like I think
Scizor one of them?
Oh, it's damn right.
Yeah, I remember Scizor having U-turn and just like
Starmie was one. Starmie was Murmillo, water. And Starmie was on the team because of Rapid Spin to get rid of Stealth Rock, because if I'm switching so much, Stealth Rock would kill me. But yeah, Glad Beasts were dope. I made a Pokemon team, like a whole team designed around that strategy.
Yeah, that's how impactful Glad Beasts were. It permeated other communities.
I actually I have something to say about because you asked me my first
Yes.
like top, right? So there's technically 2 tops for Ed, right? But then like obviously one is fake, but I like talking about it. But you said I was like the 17th person or 17th episode, right?
Yep.
I don't know if anyone saw it or like I don't know if you show the things, but I rolled my eyes when you said the word 17 because my very first 17 is a crazy number for me. Like I've been 17th place after Swiss 1,000 times, but like my very first ever Shonen Jump, it was Shonen Jump LA. It was the one that Silverman won. And it's crazy. When I tell Silverman who I was, when I told him who I was, he was like, "You're that kid?" So when I was I played at Shonen Jump LA, and I played Sky Scourge Norlaris when everyone was playing like a Diva Zombie, right?
Yeah.
I was playing like the combo deck basically, right?
Yep.
And I finished day 1 X1. And that was only top 16. So and then the very last round, I lost to someone, and I got 17th place, and I finished day 1 X1. And my first tiebreaker, my first loss in Swiss was Peter, round 7 or 8, Peter Chang.
Peter Chang, yeah.
And I like Peter, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of stuff. But basically, Peter did something that he's not allowed to do, and
he did a Peter thing.
Yeah, and I didn't catch it.
Yep.
I didn't catch it, and then what happened was Peter was X1 going into the last round, almost automatically tops. He gets DQ'd or he gets removed from the tournament.
Yeah,
and that shoots my tiebreakers.
Oh no, because he's who you lost to, so you don't get tiebreakers anymore.
I don't get anything. I lost to the bye.
It's the worst possible scenario.
Yes. Oh my god!
To lose to someone who then gets that is the worst possible scenario.
Mm-hmm. And then I remember I was X1 table 2 last round, and everyone's tapping me on the back because I'm the kid from locals. Like, oh good, you top. There's no way you didn't top. And then I get 17th place.
Damn, that's heartbreak. Yeah. Heartbreak, Ed. But you know what? Those heartbreaks, those stories usually end well.
No. I love telling my first top because I remember that class. I always say like the first time you top, that's your class, right? That's who it is, right? And that class was gonna have Claudio Kirschmere. I don't know if you remember that name.
I do know who Claudio is. I loved Claudio back then.
Yeah, Claudio's goated. He's so good at deck.
Yes.
Claudio,
Silverman,
Adam, and just like infinite good people. But then when my very first top, I topped with Dragon Rulers. And
so wait. So Silverman wins in 2010 because I only know that because me and him both won in the same year.
Yeah,
at least the first because he just recently won a YCS. Yeah. But so me and him won in the same year. Dragon Rulers come out in 2013, so you get 17th place in 2010, and then there's like a 3-year period where you're trying to like get there, and maybe.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't trying to get there at that point because like I honestly did not.
You weren't traveling, right? So you weren't.
I was not traveling.
So if the event wasn't local, you were like, I'm not going to that.
And like as much as I like to joke, I was playing Dragon Ruler, but I didn't have maxis, so I put Stardust Dragon Assault mode in my deck.
Oh shit!
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like known as the Assault mode guy at that event.
Yeah.
Because I was just winning. But what I like about San Mateo was I was really sad because I was like, oh man, all these good people that I hugely respect.
Yes.
Is in that class. But then my San Mateo was insane. It's Billy Brigg, Patrick Hoban, Denny Yu, what is it called? Like a bunch of like A-list, star-list players. I was like, I just gotta say my first top was with Patrick Hoban. That's 10 times cooler than saying Adam Corn or like anybody else like that. So,
I mean, Pat is
also I got 17th place also at that event. So.
But was it top 16 or top 32?
It was top 32.
Okay, at that point. So you've gotten 17th on what would have been your first top and then also on your actual first top.
Yeah.
And then this is episode 17. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, that's pretty nutty.
Because we were going to schedule you to be on the podcast on Sunday. But
I said I was busy and then it just happened like that.
Because Sunday is a local day. And I know
so you did this to yourself again.
Yeah,
you did 17 to yourself.
Yeah. Damn, I might have to look into this number 17. Okay, so So that's like your first hop, and you're playing what deck?
I'm playing Dragon Ruler.
So you're just playing Dragon Rulers, but without Maxi.
Without Maxi, like no hand traps, and I'm just playing like 3 tanky, 3 assault mode activate, and
what does tanky do? Does it search the guy that
searches assault mode activate?
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, that's broken.
Also, tanky searches an out to Kaiku. That is like not like relevant well, it's relevant, but like that was super relevant for me during that tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like they would go Kaiku and like summon a bunch of stuff, and I'd be like, okay, MST, your fate. Tanky because Dragon didn't have a monster that actually attacked over Kaiku.
No.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
There you go.
So that's actually interesting because one of the things I do recall about 2013 Dragon Rulers, and it's one of my, I guess, favorite formats, but in hindsight, the format's not that good, as we all know now. But it was fun because it was so powerful. I remember that deck being malleable as anyone wanted it to be. For example, at one point, and this is only what I was doing in my local area, but at one point I was playing Obelisk the Tormentor in my deck.
There's no out.
There were no out. Like people literally, if you weren't playing Lucky 7, the rank 7 exceeds, and you had to roll a certain number also, but if you weren't playing Lucky 7, you could not out Obelisk the Tormentor. Like it was game. And so at one point I was playing Obelisk. At one point I was playing Light and Darkness Dragon. At one point we were playing, I think, Vanity's Fiend, because that card just comes in and out every format. I feel like
I know, and then Fossil Dyna. I remember Fossil Dyna won
because it was searchable, right?
Won the ARG, yeah.
Yeah,
was it searchable?
Not searchable, but you could go discard Redox, discard Fossil Dyna, and special summon it back
and reborn it back.
Okay, it's reborn. That was the play. So you can go like once you have Redox and you have Fossil, you like discard, special it, and it was
just have it every turn.
Yeah, and you could also get a level 8 synchro with it. So you could do that. And you could normal summon a 1-star tuner, summon a dragon, make like a Stardust or something, protect it, and it's just like Fossil Dyna thing you can't deal. But yeah, that was that deck. Luckily, even though you didn't have Max C, that deck you could do so much to it, and it was still extremely powerful.
Well, like that's the thing though. Like I don't want to dwell on it because I hate dwelling on like super all the time on the past. But like assault mode. Like was broken in the mirror. I never lost a single mirror because all you would do and people didn't know how to beat it because like they would go like effective Dragon Ruler search and then all you do is you pick a color and you negate one color over and over and over and over again and you're just gonna be up in the race. You know what I mean? Of like you're gonna have more colors than them and
exactly.
You win,
you have 4 colors and they're dealing with like 2. They can't possibly win.
They can't play. Yes.
Yeah. That's actually. When you say that, that actually makes sense. And that was an Omni negate, right? That guy can negate anything.
You really just couldn't negate. And it was just
a walking solemn judgment, right?
Yeah.
Because you could flip a floodgate. That was like the best part. You know what I mean? You could flip like Iron Wall. You could activate Iron Wall in your dragon deck, and then the other dragon deck couldn't do anything because your Stardust came back every turn.
And it's a 3,000 beat stick.
Yeah, so it's a 3,000 beater, And if they do kill it, and what's crazy is that if they do kill it, I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards. If they do kill it, it just summons back another Stardust. So if you have a regular trap card
Stardust,
set, so if you have a trap card back, you trap another trap set, it just comes back.
Yeah. Damn. Assault mode, that's interesting. It's funny because 2 nights ago, Kenny and I played against one of our patrons on Patreon, and he requested that we play September 2013 format. So he wanted to play when the babies are banned, but the Dragon Rulers are still like dominant. So like the Patrick Hoban format where he played like Unity. He wanted to play that format. And I kind of want to, when we do play these old formats, I don't want to just play the same thing that was played. I kind of want to spice it up a little bit. You know what I mean? That I like the idea of playing assault mode to be like spicy. Like that's a really spicy tech. And it's also fun because I never competitively, a lot of cards I just skipped on. Because I was always such a competitive person that if a card was like even slightly off meta, I would be like, I don't really want to play that, which is so weird and ironic probably because I'm also a person that decided to play Royal Tribute, like one of the most non-meta cards ever. And then after that, I'm like, I only want to play the meta. So, but I have had my times where, like you, I like to play random decks. I definitely did try.
Okay, so I just have to stop you on that one. That is one of my biggest pet peeves ever is like I talk to a lot of people in the community and like there are people that think I'm good, stuff like that. And then the thing that always grinds me is man, it's just an Ed deck, or it's just like, oh, that's an Ed, it's an Ed thing. Like it's so awful being my testing partner sometimes because like they'll just respect Madolche, or they'll be like, you know, this deck's pretty good. Like Ed has been shitting on us like all day for the past like 3 weeks. Like it has to be good. And that's the thing, right? Like I like a common misconception is like I play stuff to be like original, or I play stuff to like, you know, do my own thing. Obviously that's really cool. Yeah. And that, you know, expressing yourself in that way is fun. But like I wouldn't play a deck if I didn't believe in it. You know, what I mean? If I didn't believe I could go 12-0 at a YCS or something like that,
you're not going to play it.
I'm not going to play it. Yeah. And that's like the most common misconception with a lot of people on me, because like I get sent like thousands of deck lists. Like, oh, did you see such and such? You know, I know this is the Ed deck, and then I'm like, does the Ed deck mean like good, or is that like a shot at me? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like what are you trying to say?
Is other people are saying you play random decks, but you're saying like, no, I actually think this deck can win.
Yeah.
It's not just random.
If
I
Ed
actually think
goes
this deck is good.
If he goes to a YCS, if he flies to a YCS with a deck, then for sure you think that deck is real.
Yeah, it's not just some random ass. It's not just like some random shit.
Now at locals, I'm assuming that you can get a little bit spicy without.
Really... Oh yeah, you can play whatever you want at locals. In all honesty, you're just there to play. Yeah,
because I've gone to locals with my Dolces a lot, and people laugh at me. Like people laugh at me, like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you playing this right now?" I'm like, "Because it looks fun. Like, it's just a fun deck." Mm-hmm. But let's jump into current Yu-Gi-Oh. So, speaking of Madolche, I think you mentioned before the call started that that's actually what you're kind of testing right now, right?
Yeah, I've been playing Madolche just for fun on DB, and the deck looks really nice, like maxed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, what inspired you to play that?
There is a guy named Alex Benoit. He got top 4 at the European YCS.
Okay.
And then he got first in the Remote Duel Invitational, both playing Madolche. And like I love going on YouTube. Like when I'm super into Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
I am a student. Like I study Yu-Gi-Oh! Nonstop.
Same. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, no. It's so cool. Cause one of my favorite like quotes about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like the smartest person can learn from the dumbest answer, but the dumbest person can't learn from the smartest answer. You know what I mean? Because like I can watch a deck profile of a guy who went X5 at locals, but probably pull something out of it. You know what I mean? But there are some people that can watch the same, you know, Jesse Cotton deck profile 10,000 times, but nothing connects. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm a big believer in like when a dude is a one-man army where a guy just tops all the time with one deck, there's 2 things. That deck is either really broken or he's a cheater. But like I'm gonna go with a really broken. No, we gotta be realists. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's real
100%. You're real.
Yeah.
That's
so. It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because 2012. You remember Simon He?
I love Simon He.
He's one of my. He's one of my. Back then we were really close. Me, him, and Alistair were like friends. Mm-hmm. But he would top and go undefeated at a lot of events with agents.
Yes.
And I used to always think to myself, and I even talked about this to Alistair, we would always say, like, there's no fucking way that every time this guy flies over to the United States, he tops with agents in non-agent formats. Like, the format would not be agents at all. It would be Gear Gia, like Providence when Chris LeBlanc first won. He would go undefeated at that event, and then he'd do it again when it's like Water and Fire Fist format. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how, like, what is, like, either that deck is insane or he is doing something. And then me and Alistair, you know, we went on Dueling Network, I think it was called at the time, and we tried it out, and it was awful. I was like, and we came to the conclusion real quick. We were like, Simon is doing something because this shit is some trash. Like I drew double shine ball twice, and I was like, yeah, no, I am good on this. Like this is not it.
That's a hard pass. Definitely.
That's what's scary about a lot of decks playing normal monsters, because you said the double shine ball thing. Yeah. And I know a lot of current Yu-Gi-Oh has like Red Eyes and Dark Magician in it. And it's like,
yes,
you don't want to draw Red Eyes. Like,
that's true. That's actually true.
Like what? Your opening hand, you got Red Eyes in it. You're like, come on.
Yeah, no, people do complain about that because it's like a lot of decks can't not play the Dragoon package.
Because the Dragoon package is a lie, bro. It is a lie. Like people put Dragoons package in decks that are just awful, and they're good because Dragoons is that broken. That's like how I feel about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like, man, I don't know how to make this. Iron Chain deck viable. You
Right.
know? You know, 2 monsters turns into like one of the most obscene cards ever printed. So
Yes, I
might
said
as well,
that if you put Dragoons in several formats, so we started with Goats, and I said to McCabe, I said, do you realize that there is no way to out this in Goats? Like in Goat format, there is no way to out Dragoons. Like you cannot out Dragoons realistically in Goat format.
Yeah.
And then McCabe said, well, don't stop there. And we started going through several formats. Like there's no out to this thing for a long time in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Do you know who Farfa is? Like the YouTube guy?
I've heard of him. I don't know him personally, but I know he has a YouTube channel that's like pretty big.
Yeah, so he streams a lot.
Okay.
And he has one of my like when I first saw what he did, I could not stop laughing. It was a great idea. So you know, he streams on Twitch and all that jazz, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, if you have an issue with me or anything like that, take the Dragoons challenge. And it's you become a mod on his stream, or you do something. You get something out of it, right?
Yeah.
You can play any deck you want, but he gets to start the turn off with Dragoons, and you have to out it. If you don't out it, then you're banned from his stream.
Oh shit!
In your opening hand, you know what I mean? So it's just a way of someone talking on chat. He goes, "Hey man, you want to do it? Run the challenge." And there are people where they just open their hand and they'll play like kaijus in their deck, and it's true, man. Like sometimes
it's
can't
that
out Dragoon. Yeah,
sometimes you literally can't do anything. That card is fucking crazy. The way I feel about it in current Yu-Gi-Oh! As someone who's been watching is Dragoons is broken, right? Like I know some people don't play it. I saw that the remote duel YCS, the Raphael Nevin, he won with Tri Brigade Zoo. He didn't play it.
Yeah.
Then I believe the guy who won, I think his name is Pac, he won with Prank Kids. He didn't play it, and he won the YCS remote duel. And then Andre Torres, he won with Drytron in a remote duel, and he didn't play it. So there was like a month period where all of these YCSs or whatever were won by non-Dragoon decks. And I was like, damn, how necessary could it be if all 3 of these people just won a YCS without it? And I'm wondering what you think about not playing Dragoons. Like, is that something that you feel is viable, or do you think that Dragoon should be in your deck no matter what?
It's a totally viable strategy. Because a common thing that I do when I make decks is look at the best cards in the format, right?
Yeah.
And usually the best decks just get to play a lot of it, right?
Yes.
And the best extra deck cards by far are Access Code, Zeus, and Dragoons. If you get to play at least like 2 out of the 3, then your deck's in it. You know what I mean?
So Tri Brigade plays all 3 of those easily.
Tri Brigade can play all 3, but Tri Brigade specifically plays Access Code. It is a good Access Code deck, and it summons Zeus. That's the reason why the Zoo engine has been so successful in that deck, is because Zeus is that powerful.
Yeah.
And like it's totally cool like not playing Dragoons, but as long as you're playing like one of the 3, I think your deck is like socially acceptable. You know what I mean? Like it's like totally fine.
So when Tri Brigade plays all 3, I guess that the issue that most people have is that it cuts the consistency of the deck down. Like theoretically, you're adding 3 cards in your deck. 2 of them you don't want to draw. Drawing Red Ops Fusion is not the worst, but 2 of them you literally do not want to draw. And I guess that people are saying, you know, I don't want any of that. I want to be able to play my deck, let my deck do what it does, and that's just it. I'll just go for the consistency.
Yeah. I'm totally cool with that, because I'm a big, even though sometimes it doesn't look like it, I'm a big stickler for like consistency. You know what I mean?
Consistency matters a lot to me too, especially when you're talking about a 10 or 11 round tournament.
Because honestly, like the way I feel about Dragoons 9 times out of 10, more often than not, it's I don't want to say it's like a crutch, but like if you are, I don't want to say lesser Yu-Gi-Oh player, but having Dragoons in your deck definitely makes it. Yeah, you know what type of player you are when you're entering the event.
Yeah.
And sometimes just putting Dragoons gets you there. You know what I mean?
It literally, I've seen it. I've actually watched my friend. Here's one of the best things about Dragoons. I watched my friend lose to Dragoons by someone who he's not the best player. He's one of our local players that just kind of like only plays on a certain day, plays his one deck, has been playing it for a long time, but his deck can summon Dragoons like everybody else. And literally my friend, like Veiler's a monster. Then let's say he Impermanence is another monster. And the guy's like, okay, get rid of both of these, make Anaconda, summon Dragoons, which I think that interaction alone is so
shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, like you stopped him twice, and he's able to go, okay, you use 2 hand traps. Now I'm just going to summon Dragoons against your 4, because now you have 4 cards. Like you're starting your turn off with 4 cards, and you have to out Dragoons with 4 cards, which is actually easier said than done. And my friend just lost. Like he just lost the game. Like he double hand trapped and lost. I don't know if he did the right thing. I don't know if maybe he shouldn't have used his hand traps on whatever. Like maybe he should have waited. Who knows? But the point is that interaction, which I imagine happens pretty often, is people just like negate that, or Droll and Lockbird you, or do something, and you're just like, okay, fuck it, Dragoons, and that will just win. Like I can just see that being enough to be like, that's game.
That's the issue, right? So Dragoons is a problem, but Yu-Gi-Oh is a weird game where like you don't have to address a problem all the time. You have to address the bigger problem before anything, right? Because the bigger problem is what is setting the precedent. But Dragoons, honestly, is not necessarily the issue. It's the fact that Verta Anaconda exists.
I agree.
In my eye. Yeah.
That's obvious to people like us for sure. Like we get it.
Yeah.
Like we get that. It's not necessarily Dragoons itself. It's really the fact that Dragoons is a searchable, summonable
win
monster
condition
at any point. Yes. It is a win condition at any point in the game. Like you can just randomly spit out a fucking Dragoons.
Mm-hmm.
And that shouldn't be a thing. Like Red House Fusion is good and all. It's Shaddoll Fusion and with restrictions, but like it should not be like the Verta Anaconda. I think that card has to get banned because it's going to keep getting better anyway. Like that card is going to scale over time.
Yeah, it only gets better with time because more fusion cards just
they will just keep coming out and it will keep getting better.
But what was I gonna say? Like I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh much during when COVID first started.
Yeah.
Obviously, when things started opening up, that's when I started looking back into it.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time of me playing like a local or anything like that. I Nibiru my opponent, and I'm like, it's done, it's over, I got him. Then he makes a Link Spider, and then he turns it into Verta Anaconda, and then just pops my guy, does 3,000 to me. And then he just discarded a card for me. I dealt 3,000, and he still ends with that. That's when I was like, this is not it. You know what I mean? That's not that's not allowed.
That's wild. Nibiru, Kenny, do you know what Nibiru is?
Nah.
So Nibiru is a new hand trap. It came out in the last 2 years. It's a light monster, and it says if your opponent summons 5 times or more during their turn, you can summon it from your hand.
During the main phase.
During the main phase, you can summon it from your hand, and it wipes the entire field if they summon 5 monsters at least during their turn. So it basically,
yeah. You told me about this card before.
Yes,
I didn't remember the name, but you did tell me about this card before.
It's a pretty insane card. So people play that now. Some people main deck it, some people side it. It's still played, but the fact that Dragoons also kind of ruins Nibiru. Like if you Nibiru me, and he comes out to the field or whatever, and then I go summon Dragoons and pop it, you take 3K. It's kind of like, who won in this exchange?
Yeah, no, and Nibiru gives your opponent a token, Ken. So like, it's halfway to, you're giving your opponent half of a Dragoons. That's the crazy part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Man.
So yeah, all he had to do was Link Spider, and that and the token became Verta Anaconda. Dragoons pop, like. Yeah, and that's still a fine board to end on now. Like that's still just like
because if you double hand trap your opponent, they discarded 2 cards, and you're ending on Dragoon, so you have 4 cards. To kill the Dragoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like near impossible.
And more than likely, one of the cards you have is just going to be negated. Like
yes.
So you might, even if you do out it, there's a chance that you have to go even deeper in the tank, and it's like, damn, now I outed it, but at what cost? Like, what am I ending on? I do want your opinion on. I'm going to go over some competitive decks. So, like, I don't currently play, but I've been watching a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh! At locals on Thursdays usually, and just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! With people. And, people have been trying to get me to play a lot. That's just been a thing that I keep on turning down every week because I'm like, at this point, I'm now a content creator. Like, I don't even think I have the time to be competitive. And if you know me, I don't like to do anything half-assed. So if I played again, I would want to be very competitive again. And I don't want to, but I also don't see myself remote dueling anytime soon.
No.
So what do you think about, let's start with Drytron. Like, what do you think about the Drytron deck? Because I'm really interested in the perspective of somebody who plays current Yu-Gi-Oh! And who's also a really good player. Like their thoughts.
Well, I have a lot of hot takes, so I don't know how controversial.
No, but that's good though, because I have some hot takes too, but my hot takes are different because I don't actually play. I just observe, and I'm still applying maybe some outdated Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge to the current game, which, as we just talked about, like you came back and thought that Nibiru was like going to be the end all be all. And the guy's just like Dragoons pop it, and it's like holy shit. So when like you know what I mean? Like some of the knowledge that some things that used to be true are not necessarily true anymore. So I don't know if what I'm thinking is correct, but I do want to know because I feel like me and you are very similar in a lot of ways. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Drytron?
And have no fear. Say whatever the fuck you
I don't
want.
know. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's never gonna stop me. Like I say my hot takes regardless.
Yeah.
But I just always got to preface it because people really be thinking.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like
they'll be in the comments trying to roast you and shit. It's like, come on.
So Drytron's like really polarizing. So I can never say that Drytron is the best deck. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
But it can be the best deck for a tournament.
Yes.
It's how often you can catch people with their pants down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if they're just not ready for Drytron, the guy goes 9-0 in Swiss.
Then the deck is really good.
Yeah, the deck just goes 9-0 in Swiss. Yeah.
But what does ready for Drytron mean to you? Like, what is that?
People are just like main decking Drolls in the main deck.
I just saw that recently.
Or
in Tri-Brigade.
They're playing decks that don't lose to Herald necessarily.
Right.
So like something with like a super poly in it, or something with like main deck droplets, or like like people were main decking Dark Ruler no more.
Yeah, Dark Ruler cuts the whole field off. Like if you summon Dragoon, Herald, Beatrice, whatever, and they're just like Dark Ruler no more, clear your field.
Yeah, you still have to play around 2 interrupts when you Dark Ruler them. But then like if your deck can't play around 2 interrupts, your deck's not a deck, Yeah. So it's one of those weird things where it's really powerful, but
when it's unopposed, it is an extremely powerful deck. Like when you do your combo, when you Alpha Zeta or whatever, right, and you do your full combo and you end on your crazy ass board, you got all these negates, you got Eva sent to the graveyard once or twice, you got all these cards in your hand, double Herald of Orange Light. When it does what it's supposed to do, unopposed, it is one of the most powerful decks. The problem is Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't play out that way. So I kind of have a problem with the Drytron deck because it seems very fragile to me a lot of the time. It's weird. It has 3 of all of its cards, but it still seems kind of inconsistent sometimes.
Well, it's because Yu-Gi-Oh, like Konami's getting it right. Once per turn is how you make decks reasonable. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the deck ends up bottlenecking a lot into the same things because it does play 3 of every card, but they all do the same thing. You know what I mean? Yep.
So yeah, I mean, Drytron, the deck is definitely good. Don't get us wrong. Like it's not like we're saying the deck isn't good, but I don't know as far as consistency in a 10 or 11 round tournament, if that's the deck I want to be playing when people are main decking so many hand traps. I always think about 2015 Nationals, the same one you were talking about, one of the first ones you went to, the Necros Nationals. So McCabe and I, we both played Jin Lock Necros for that event. And it was the wrong choice because of what people were main decking for that Nationals in Tennessee. I'll never forget. That was one of the worst tournaments I've ever played in my entire life because every fucking round, my opponent would do something like game 1, win a die roll, summon Thunder King, set 3 back row. I'm dead serious. I'll play the guy who wins, summon Thunder King, set 3 back row, go, draw face, activate Mistake, activate Anti-Spell Fragrance, activate Imperial Iron Wall. And I was like, holy shit.
I was that guy.
I was like, holy shit. Like, what is going on? I was like, why'd you flip Mistake and you have Thunder King? And he was just like, I don't know. I was like, well, what? Like, what if I did fucking Fairy? Like, because at the time, like, Fairy One was being played and stuff like that. I was like, what? Like, I was like, what are you doing? And it was just not a good experience because everyone was flooding the fuck out of Necros because it was the deck to beat.
Necros was flooding the fuck out of Necros too.
It was.
When you said Thunder King, you'd go Summoner Monk, discard the special Thunder King.
Yes.
Or Mathematician to make Naturia Beast.
Yes, and Jinlock. There were so many. Like we were all playing a degenerate game, and then lo and behold, the deck that wins the event is Noah Green with BA, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And BA can't really be floodgated. Like it's really, really hard to stop BA from playing the game. You can Baylor doesn't do much, Max C doesn't do much, fucking Mistake does nothing, like Imperial Iron Wall does nothing, Anti-Spell Fragrance does nothing. So all the cards that I was losing to in Swiss, they don't do anything. And that made BA a really good choice for that Nationals. Like Fire Lake is an insane card, right? Like that card is crazy. But yeah, a deck can be really good, like Drytron, but it can also be wrong for the way the game, like the current format is set up.
Yeah.
Like if you just watch Drytron combo videos, you're like, this is the best deck. But it doesn't play out that way.
It does not. Well, yeah. That's like the weird. I don't want to sound like an old head because I hate sounding like an old head in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's one of my least favorite things.
Boomer.
I hate boomers in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like boomers in Yu-Gi-Oh are the worst.
That's me. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh boomer.
No. Well, like ignorant Yu-Gi-Oh boomers.
Yeah, because there's a difference. Like we're old, so we're boomers by default because we're like, we're past the 25-year-old mark.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'm not one of those people who opposes information. Like boomers, one of the things that they're notorious about is that they fucking hate. If you try to tell them something, they're like, no.
But it's funny because most of my context comes from old cards. When you guys talk about playing the right deck in the wrong format or the wrong event, I'm thinking about how Frazier said we'll mess with goats every now and then. And my favorite deck historically has always been Monarchs.
Mm-hmm.
And I played Monarchs back when Go format was the actual format. And back then I could get away with it. You play Monarchs now in current Go format, every deck plays Tsukiyomi. So she just gets summoned, Book of Moons your Monarch, and attacks over the fucking 1,000 defense they have. And it's like,
she single-handedly kept that Monarch deck from being really, really good.
Yeah, like because Monarchs, other than Suki, I think are really good in that format. But you just have Suki, she goes summon, attack over to defense, and then you're like, all right, I just wasted my time.
I still think Soul Exchange Dastalos is one of the strongest plays in Go format. Like when somebody's like set Dekoichi, set Spy, or set Merchant, set Magician of Faith, and you're just like Soul Exchange Dastalos, they lose 2 cards, and if they do anything else, they lose 3 cards. So like immediately the tempo of the game just changes. I was teaching this to one of our friends. He was on a podcast recently, Stengo. He started playing Go format, and he's never played Yu-Gi-Oh before, but he started with Go format, and I was trying to teach him like card advantage. And so when I go Soul Exchange or Magician of Faith, summon Dastalos, discard a card from your hand, and you go Chain Torrential, you lost 3 cards, and I lost 2. And that, like back then in a simplified world, like that is really crazy. Like that is like, oh my god, like I got 3 cards out of you for my 2. Like now we're in a simplified game state, and I love Monarchs. Not to get off on a tangent, but
I love Monarchs too. But I tried playing them, and I was like, this is the deck I used to like. I always played back then, and it worked pretty consistently back then. But back then, every single deck didn't run Suki. So
so. All right, we're done with Drytron. What about Tri Brigade? How do you feel about the Fire Fist deck of the format?
So I say it all the time on Facebook. It's unironically just the best deck. Like it is.
Yep.
It does the most with the least. It doesn't get hated out as often.
Right.
And like and the biggest thing is like now Rivalry and Gozen are like things in the format. Before like that just makes Tri Brigade better. Like as weird as that sounds.
So wait, they're unaffected by those cards? Because
no, they are super affected by it.
Oh.
But now because that exists, you don't lose to it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at locals a couple days ago, I was playing against Prank Kid, and I was playing a deck that would just flip Rivalry. But before, for maybe the first 2 weeks before, because information spreads pretty slow. Well, now it spreads obscenely fast, but it still spreads slow in Yu-Gi-Oh, where like not many people knew about Rivalry. But I had Rivalry in my side deck, and I was playing, and 2 weeks ago, Rivalry was just obscene. No one knew about it. It was like they weren't ready. But now they know to play around it. You know what I mean? Yeah. They know, okay, I should summon Double Dragon Lords before I do anything, just in case he has Rivalry. Right. Or it's like I'm just going to.
What does Double Dragon Lords do?
It is the Bryonic, the quick play Bryonic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's a wind, so you can play under Gozen, and then it's a wing. It's a Beast Warrior, so you can play under Rivalry.
Okay.
So then under Rivalry, you have 2 answers. You have Double Dragon Lords, and then you have Omen when you summon a Wing Beast.
Yeah. So those are 2 really good plays.
Yeah.
My man said quick play Bryonic, and Frazier's like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
because I'm over here like, what did you summon 2 Bryonics? The fuck?
So the crazy thing is like,
Bryonics?
That's not even that crazy anymore. Like when Ed said it, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's fine. Like that's just fair now.
I'm like, 2 Brios? Hell no.
Like Pleiades back in the day, Constellar Pleiades, and that was like a crazy card. Like, oh my god, it's a trap monster. Like, first of all, trap monsters weren't that big in 2013 when Pleiades was around, and the idea of like bouncing a thing to the deck, like to the extra deck, was like, oh my god. Or like,
just activating multiple tankies, or like activating Fiendish, getting back Fiendish Chain was crazy.
Yeah, like you can bounce anything. I remember at one point, because McCabe Sean McCabe actually won an event with Constellar. He won a Dragon event.
I copy that guy when he played that deck.
Really?
I played Constellar a lot. So
yeah, was it good? Was that deck? Because I'm the only one. I'm one of the people who knew. Like I always know when McCabe makes one of those wacky decks, kind of how to deal with it. But if you don't know how to deal with it, it's just one of those things where you just lose. Like you just actually lose.
Yeah. When he won, I played at a regional at the weekend, and I went X1 playing, Constellar. So it's not awful. It's not. I don't know if it was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it wasn't.
When I played versus Dragon, I remember it was like a struggle, but I would win. You know what I mean?
And when you played against fucking Evil Swarm, it was just
they lost.
Yeah, it was just a bye. Like he played Evil Swarm in the finals, I think, too.
Yeah, he did.
And he said it was his it's funny, he lost game 1, but the whole weekend, all he talked about was how every time he plays against Evil Swarm, it is the easiest match. So he lost game 1. I was biting my nails because I was like, oh my God, if this would be so embarrassing because this is a deck that he considers
he wanted to play, yeah.
Yes, and then you're playing in the finals and you almost lose. And I forget if Jim was doing best 3 out of 5 yet, but I assume he was. So
yeah, I have no idea on that one.
So best 3 out of 5 is obviously better. If you feel like your deck beat something really, really
you want to play best of 5.
You want to play best of 5, yeah.
I feel like best of 5 in Yu-Gi-Oh has to take. Well, I feel it has to take forever.
It takes a pretty long time. I was in the finals of an ARG, and it was a Necros mirror match, and I believe it was 3 hours long because it went to game 5 too. So it actually went to game 5.
Yeah.
And it was at least 3 hours, very long. But yeah, Tri Brigade, you think is unironically
just the best deck. And I rarely say the Fire Fist deck is the good deck. You know what I mean?
But it's
really just not a Fire Fist deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it does way more than it's supposed to.
Right. Like its Tinky does not just get bear pop. Its Tinky does a lot more than just that.
You want to handle every card, it makes a Zeus. You want to handle one card, it makes an Omen. You know what I mean?
So what would you say is the problem with Tri Brigade? Like if you had to say it had an issue, what is the issue with that deck?
The issue is what the end board is gonna be, right?
Right.
So it's one of those type decks where I have a lot of not buzzwords, but I have my own way of talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! But all the Tri Brigade is so weird because there are good players that I know are good, but then they're going to say Tri Brigade is awful because they're stuck in this new age mentality of bigger decks means better decks. You know what I mean? I
hate that, by the way. I hate that so much. I hate that people think that because this deck combos, well, what they usually say is this deck has a higher ceiling.
Yes. And
I actually just yelled at someone. We got into an argument at my local 2 weeks ago because he was like, the ceiling on my deck. He was talking about Drytron, by the way. He's like, my deck ceiling is so high. And I was like, you just fucking lost to Prank Kids who just summoned Toad. He summoned Toad and had draw and pass. And I was like, I'm not trying to. Yeah, that was literally, your fucking ceiling doesn't matter. I was like, what does your ceiling matter if every single floodgate or anything that they activate stops you completely? Your ceiling doesn't matter.
Also, my thing about the ceiling right now is every deck does the same thing. Where it's it just ends on multiple negates, or it just access codes you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it just randomly kills you.
Yeah.
So you don't need a big ceiling to do what everyone else is doing.
That's what I was saying. All the decks, every single deck, because I have about 10 listed, they all can go first and do some nutty shit.
Mm-hmm. Or they go second and they make access code, or they make Zeus, or they make Dragoons.
Yep.
And there's nothing it's weird to say, but there's nothing special about a lot of the decks. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They all just do the same things. And at that point, you just pick the one that does the one a lot better than everybody else. And sadly, that's Tri Brigade.
When people say my deck has a high ceiling or my character has a high ceiling in a fighting game, or whenever somebody uses the argument, I have a high ceiling or this has a high ceiling, it's almost always just an excuse to explain why they're losing or why they are better than you, but you won, but I'm actually better than you. Because what I'm doing takes more skill. I understand that you won, but I'm actually better.
Right.
That's what it always is. Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing in everything. It's I don't care how hard or how cool you think you are. If you don't win, you don't win.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a book about fighting games that I read a while back, and there was a quote that always stuck with me where it's there's no trophy for most creative player. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's not. Nobody's going to remember you. sure, you might, like, for example, I know at one of the tournaments, somebody was playing with a steering wheel, you know, like the racing game steering
that
wheels.
guy, yeah, he plays Guilty Gear, yeah.
Yeah, so somebody played with a steering wheel, so, like, you know, he got a lot of buzz for that, but nobody knows his name, right? Because he didn't win anything. It was just like, oh, look, he's playing with a fucking steering wheel.
He showed up with some shock factor, like, look at what I'm doing. And it's like,
and then that was it. Now nobody knows it, you know? So, yeah, when somebody says, like, oh, no, my deck has a really high skill ceiling, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Did you win? No. Then what does it matter?
Yeah. All right. So that's Tri Brigade and Dry Trine. What about Prank Kids? These are like the big three decks to me. Like,
so like at the beginning of the format, beginning of everything, like during COVID, I said to multiple people, Prank Kid is unplayable. Prank Kid sucks. It doesn't do anything. It does the same thing every game. But like after about like 3 or 4 months of playing it, I had to like bite my tongue and be like, yeah, I guess Prank Kid's pretty good, because like Prank Kid is one of the decks where if you look at it on paper, like, well, when I look at it on paper, I get really mad because like when I play Prank Kid, I seem to draw 5 kids, no hand traps, right?
Like drawing a bunch of gadgets.
Yeah, and then the kids don't do anything when you draw a bunch of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want 1 kid, 4 hand traps every time. But then when I play against somebody else, they draw 1 kid, 4 hand trap, and I just can't seem to beat them. You know what I mean? But then it was one of those things where you have to bite the bullet and be like, all right, sure, it is the low ceiling deck, but like, you know, it puts up the numbers.
It does.
Like that's the only thing you need in a deck.
And it's also extremely consistent from what I understand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the only difference between the 4 starters is that 1 starter requires you to have a card in hand, but they all end on the same board.
So no matter which of the 4 you open with, they're all 1 card starters, but one just requires at least 1 card in hand.
Yeah. But it still ends on the same board. And you don't lose the card. You just need a card because to trigger it needs to discard 1 card.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll give my thoughts on Prank Kids. And I guess I'll also talk about Tri Brigade too. But first, Prank Kids. So when I first saw that deck, I looked at the guy, Pac, who won the remote duel YCS. And
Pac's a future GOAT. That's a hot take, but so in Yu-Gi-Oh, to me the people that stand out are the ones that get good really quick. Because they're the ones that have a mindset to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that dude was I love Pac. I love you. He was I don't want to be mean. He was like a bum. He was like a nobody. Nobody when he won the PPG. But then it's a perfect example of if you just have smart people around you and a good head, you're gonna get really good really quick. And it just proofs in the pudding. He played Yu-Gi-Oh every single day. He talked to a bunch of really good players every single day, and he just popped off. Now he's a champion.
Yeah, that's insane. So when I saw his deck list, I was like, oh, this deck doesn't really play any traps outside of hand traps. It's just like spells, monsters. And I don't think he also didn't play the Dragoon package. So I was like, damn, this seems really kind of offbeat from what I'm seeing everyone else do. This is like 6 or 7 weeks ago when I first started coming back to Yu-Gi-Oh. And I was like, damn, this is kind of different from what I see most people doing. But I heard that this deck is trash. And so I asked everyone, how did he win? And no one could give me a straight up answer. There was just a bunch of hate. Like there was just a bunch of like, that deck is terrible. He got lucky. Somebody got DQ'd or something crazy happened at the remote. Just a bunch of excuses for why he won, but not like actually addressing the deck at all. It was just like dismissal of the deck, which I like. That doesn't help anybody. When you're just like, this deck is trash, and you just don't explain it. That doesn't help anything. So I looked into it and I found out, okay, it's really consistent. It sets up on Totally Awesome, and it, like you said, it has a ton of hand traps that it plays. It 1 card starters, where all the other decks they kind of need more than 1, except obviously if you open like Fractal, I think Fractal does your entire combo for Tri. But like there's not as many Fractals as there is Prank Kids. So by default, he has more chances to combo off than I would say Tri Brigade does turn 1. And one of the strongest things, and people don't really talk about this, but I do because I think about every facet of the game. Prank Kids are really fucking good when time is called. Like, if we're being honest, one of the scariest things about Yu-Gi-Oh right now is time. Like, it is terrifying because you can't do damage in main phase 1 with most decks. Like most decks, cannot do damage when they call time and it's still main phase. You didn't enter battle phase yet. So Kenny, I don't know if you're aware, but the time rules in Yu-Gi-Oh right now are when time is called, whatever phase you're in, that is the last phase of the game, period.
Yep. And prank kids
like,
do like burn damage and they regain health, and
that's exactly what they do. So they literally can burn you and gain life in main phase, which is wild to me because it's an auto win if time is called. Like it is just straight up.
I want to ask real quick, because you guys are both saying something in the main community. Why do people think it's bad? Like, why do so many people think the deck's bad? Like, when everybody says like this deck's trash, but it's a winning event and you're saying it's consistent.
It's
when people say it's bad, what are they saying is bad about it?
So maybe Ed can expand on that, because Ed even said himself a few minutes ago, like he thought himself before he started playing it that it was just bad. Like looking at it on paper, it made him mad. So what do you think it is, Ed?
So like I like whenever I talk about like Yu-Gi-Oh, I always talk about like Yu-Gi-Oh boomers and how I hate, you know, their logic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But maybe I just hate everything. But like,
let's go.
I do not like this new age theory that big decks are
the best deck.
The best decks.
Yeah.
Because there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
And it just so happened for maybe 3 or 4 years straight or 2 years straight, the best deck was the combo deck. You know what I mean?
That was the reign of Hoban. Yeah,
but then it takes a certain player to understand that, okay, maybe this deck, you know, has a low ceiling, but it just puts up numbers. You know what I mean?
So basically, low ceiling automatically makes Yu-Gi-Oh players, most Yu-Gi-Oh players, think that it's not good because the ceiling is so low.
Yeah,
like you could give a kid a prank kid deck. Like literally, a 12-year-old kid could walk in the local, be like, "What deck should I play, Dad?" Dad buys them the prank kid deck, and they will probably start doing well off the bat, like immediately.
No, I like one of the reasons I hate prank kid also is it is really like friendly. Like it is super friendly to newer players. Yeah. It is great. I lost to last week. I lost in the finals of a tournament. I lost to a guy who he's never won anything. He's never won anything, like even a locals or anything like that. And I had to explain to him how his cards worked. Like he didn't know the basic interactions. Like he was just he was a 40-person tournament.
Yeah.
And he was in the finals.
Oh damn.
So Ed beat himself. Ed was like, your card does, and literally. I had to explain what one of his cards did, and then he goes, "Oh, so I won't do that then." And then he continues doing stuff. And it's just one of those decks where it's like it's a deck where one thing does way too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
normal summon one prank kid is like, holy shit.
It's a +5. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a +5 and 2 interrupts. What's
the standard ending board for prank kids? Like, what is the
standard ending board? Okay, so it's really depending on, right? Also, the reason why Pac won, I think, is because he did not play the prank kid deck like everybody else.
Meaning?
So when everyone was playing the prank kid deck, it's like what I said, where it's multiple hand traps and a guy, right? So it's stuck on this like some resolving a prank kid, and then you make them play to your own pace if you don't get to go first and do a prank kid, right?
Right.
But he chose to play like polys, triple tactics talents, and parallel exceed, and these cards all lose to Nibiru. And that's the reason why people didn't play him. And, it didn't fit with the whole strategy of like, oh yeah, one card engine, my deck's really consistent. So they're just not going to try to lose to Nibiru. They want to like limit the amount of cards. They want to limit the amount of cards that are good against them. Right?
Yes.
But then with that, it creates a problem where it's too linear. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So he added like 9 extenders. So like people had this like notion of, oh, you ash a prank kid, turns over. But if you watch it as feature matches, or if you just watched him play, he just had an extender every time they had a hand trap. So it's one of those things where it's like the deck as we know it right now isn't good, or as I knew it wasn't good. But that's why people win, is they make adaptations to a deck,
right?
So he just beat because Nibiru was not in people's decks. It was not in people's actual decks.
That's what I was going to ask when you were people playing Nibiru, because what ends up happening is people alter their deck so they don't lose to a thing, but then people don't play that thing.
Yeah.
So then
it's a cycle.
If you sneak in the thing that thing beats, all of a sudden you're running free. You're like, I'm chilling. Nobody's playing this card.
And he just didn't get nibbed. And that's what you need to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also heard he was summoning Abyss Dweller, I think. Which that card is apparently really good. Like if you can turn one.
There's never been a format where Abyss Dweller is just not like
good,
egregious. You know what I mean? Like it's just not unfair.
Yeah. The entire time I played, from 2012 when it came out until like 2021 now, it's still seeing play.
Yeah, like decks live and die if they can summon Dweller, honestly. Like Fire was really a Dweller deck.
And summoned the water monster. It was like trying to summon this water monster. Like you're actually playing water too. Did you know that? Like, your fucking Fire Fist deck is actually the water deck in disguise. Yeah.
Deck is Steam.
So yeah, he adapted the deck. He made it better. He made it where, because you know what? A lot of times when I ask people what's wrong with Prank is, they say you stop the normal summon and you win. Everyone fucking said that to me. Everyone. They were like, "Oh, you just stop the normal summon and you win." And then I watch them play against it and they lose, and I'm like,
"What if they just don't? What if they just keep going?" And that's what happened.
The one guy, so my friend did get mad because the kid he played against, and I do mean kid, he had instant fusion. And
that is the card that plays around every card.
He was like, well, he drew instant fusion. I was like, yeah, I guess that's like, kind of annoying. He drew his broken ass one of, but I was like, I think polymerization would probably just do the same thing in that situation because of the way the guy's hand was set up and like what he had. I'm like, he could have. There were several cards that would have also you would have lost to. But yeah, so Prank Kids is the consistent deck with the lower ceiling, but still very good because it does something. It does the same thing.
I was gonna say it's a low ceiling because they made it low ceiling. Yeah, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but once you add like Parallel Exceed to it and all these like fusion
spells, polymerization, and more than that, then it's not a normal summon deck.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, this deck actually special summons like 18 times now. And like I said, one of the craziest things about the deck is that it randomly does burn damage and gains life. And I cannot overstate this enough. I watched Sky Striker format, and a lot of games came down to Kaina. Like a lot of games.
You know, Prank Kid won during that format, right?
See?
Like, won an event. Yeah, it won an event because of the in top 4, it won in time.
See? Yeah. That's insane. Like that. And like I know it's like a scummy thing, and people try to act like it doesn't exist, but like time is real in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially now. Like it's a part of the game. It always has been, but now it's even more real because of it's an instant stop. Like it's fingers down, hands on the table, stop what you're doing. You only have your main phase now. Usually, you only have your main phase. And any deck that can burn you or gain life in main phase, naturally to me, is scary. I am not the fastest player. Everyone knows that who knows me. I am not some kind of fucking... I'm trying to think of who's a top player who plays really quick. I'm not him. Whoever that is, I'm not him. I like to take my time. I like to think. I'm not slow playing, but I just like to think about my moves. And going into time would be so scary to me right now because of decks like this. Like I don't want to play against something. Also, like Drytron randomly playing Natasha, like they fucking gain life as well. Like that's another thing. If they
also you gotta take into account Dragoons is one of the most awful time cards ever.
Yes,
because it does burn damage randomly.
And sometimes summoning Dragoons is bad because you take 2,000 when you summon it, right?
Yeah.
So Anaconda, where you take 2K when you summon. So like time is a big part of Yu-Gi-Oh, and Prank Kids does it really well. I guess Drytron with their Natasha can do like time tricks. And is there anything else that like, obviously people who are still deciding for some strange reason to play Sky Striker, also they can do gain life and stuff like that. Speaking of Sky Striker, what are your thoughts on that deck? This format with one engage and the only deck that if it goes first, it doesn't just auto win. It does not have an auto win.
You literally said exactly what I was about to say. You could never make me go into a tournament and play a deck where if I go first, you mean I don't win? You know what I mean?
Like there's no incentive to go first with Sky Striker.
There's no incentive for Sky Striker.
That's
the crazy.
You might as well draw 6. Like you might as well just draw your 6 and go second because going first with that deck is the most unintimidating. Like if I'm sitting down at a tournament right now and I lose the die roll, normally I'll be kind of nervous. Like, all right, let's just hope to God that I draw a hand trap. Let's hope that he doesn't draw the stones, or I can't even call it the stones anymore because it's just kind of regular when decks.
It's just what it does. Yes,
like this. He opened his combo. Like it's not that crazy when somebody just goes like tanky. Like it's like, all right, he fucking opened tanky. Like what am I supposed to do? But Sky Striker, I would be like, oh thank God. like the second you go reinforcement of the army for fucking Ray, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, this is great. Like, I don't care what you do turn one.
But now, how would you feel if you sat down at the table and you sit down and you go to roll the die and you say high roll or low roll, and they say you can go first before you even roll the die?
So
well, I think I'd win. I think I'd win because it like no person does that. Like no person go. No person. Well, like there are people that I love going second. I've done well in a lot of decks that are meant to go second during a go first format. That's how I met Frazier. I played a go second deck in a go first format.
Yep.
And
is that the Pepe format?
Yeah, I played Pepe with 3 Chalice and what is it called? And Kaijus and Slumber in the main deck.
Yeah.
And what was I saying? That,
so the guy tells you to go first. Like,
if a guy tells me to go first, like that, I already think that guy sucks because like he would have just rolled the dice and not said anything, you know?
Yeah.
Now I know I'm just making Dweller.
Least.
I'm making Dweller. I'm making something that stops Lightning Storm or Dark Ruler no more. You know what I mean? He gave information for no reason.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking he comes in with that air of confidence. You know, he's like, he comes in, he sits down, swinging some big dick energy. He's like, you can go first.
No, I hate playing go second decks like that because it's awkward. Because at YCS, at one of the YCS Dallases, I topped and I played like a going second deck, right? But I won 8 out of my 9 dice rolls day one.
Holy shit!
And then I have to go.
You go first.
You go first.
I'm telling you right now, I hate that so much. Like, I'll play go second decks too. The worst thing that can happen is winning too many die rolls. It's so awkward. Like, it's so awkward because like you're telling them like, I want you to go first. I'd rather they just win a die roll, choose to go first like a normal person, and they think that they're doing something, and I'm like, you just played into my fucking deck.
Yes, exactly.
You activated my trap card.
Yeah. But Sky
that's when you gotta tell them you lost a bet to your friend. And you told your friend that even if you won the die roll, you have to go second.
You just gotta start lying.
You just gotta lie to them.
Yeah.
Sky doesn't make any sense to me because if you want to play a trap deck, there's like 50 other good trap decks. You know what I mean?
Speaking of trap deck, that 36 trap deck that I think Pac was playing recently, it's like a bunch of traps.
Eldritch?
Yes.
Yeah.
You mean real trap cards?
They all
cards.
They are real traps.
I don't know how many of the trap decks you have like written down for the list of cards, but like they all are fundamentally like the same deck. You know what I mean? Where it's like 3 strikes, some amount of floodgates, and then hopefully you win rolls. But if you don't, hopefully you draw strike. You know?
Yeah.
I think those decks are really really good. I like those decks are good because one, it's a different crowd now. Like Yu-Gi-Oh has different players, and they a lot just don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes.
Like,
so when you do that,
I'm really not trying to be rude about that one.
No, but I know what you mean, though.
Really,
but the game of Yu-Gi-Oh has changed.
It has
become
changed.
A lot more combo oriented. So if you take away the ability to do those combos and they have to start playing a different form of Yu-Gi-Oh, they're going to be a little lost.
So Kenny, you hit the nail on the head with that one because one of the funniest fucking things you can watch right now is the current class of players playing against Mystic Mind. When I tell you that these motherfuckers cannot deal with that card at all, like it is the funniest shit how that card by itself decks people out. They start trying to activate Ash Blossom and they're like, you can't, you have too many monsters in the field, you cannot play. Like my one friend literally last week, he Mystic Mind a guy who was playing Tri-Brigade and he started to play, he was like doing his Drytron combo or whatever, and the guy was like, I'm gonna Ash that, and he was like, you can't, you literally have like multiple monsters, like you have Appaloosa, Omen, like you have multiple monsters, like you cannot. And it's just funny, like no one seems to know what it does, and they have to keep reading it, and they just don't know what to do. And they don't like it kind of just like breaks people. Like it breaks people. They crumble at the seams.
So speaking of that, so one of my best friends, Ryan Murkami, he's UDS champion, a bunch of top stuff like that.
Yep.
He I know him for one reason. He's really good at playing helmet decks, like decks that are that if a normal person played it, that guy's stupid, or like, man, that guy doesn't know how to play. Like when he won with Cosmo, you know what I mean? Or like he's top 10 on DB right now, playing like the Gren Maju stun deck, right? And I don't know how often you follow like DB or trends like that. Obviously, I don't think so because you're not super into it right now, Frazier. But then like a deck that's super popular is like the Gren Maju stun. where it's like 3 Inspector Border, 3 Grand Maju, and 3 Gizmek.
I've been hearing about
like
this
infinite
deck.
traps. Yes. And Ryan only plays that deck online. And when he was like really close to being number 1, it was because people don't know how to play against traps. Like it's ridiculous. Like how that goes down. Because like one of a thing that people don't understand. I'm gonna go on like an old person tangent.
Go ahead.
I think that a lot of people just don't understand is like holding a card, right? So like if you're playing against like an anti deck, when you draw Twin Twister, you don't activate it immediately, right?
Yeah.
You wait till you have 2 Twin Twisters or 3 Twin Twisters, or like card that forces a negate, then a Twin Twister.
Yes.
But then, I play a lot of high rated DB and I watch a lot of high rated DB, and man, if you flip a strike or you flip a trap card, it is a free win. If they're
so funny.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I did watch a guy. He drew Twin Twister to out Mystic Mine, and then like Imperial Order got flipped up, and it made this whole situation really fucking awkward after that. And I was like, see, like he played it immediately, and then Imperial Order came out, and then it was like, well, now I still have all these I have 5 back row still. So even though Mystic Mine is like cut off by Imperial Order, you didn't actually get the Twin Twister or anything. And now you're up against multiple solemn judgments because they sided in solemn judgment, which I see a lot of people doing now. So yeah, multiple solemns, multiple strikes, all this stuff, and it was just like a whole thing. And he basically lost because he played it immediately. He didn't like wait until his hand was correct, and he just started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! and he lost because, like you said, like you need to, just because you drew the out, like sometimes it's not correct to just be like, oh, activate the out immediately.
And it's not me harping on like newer players. It's literally they just haven't played in that. They never played that scenario. That
type of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just gone for the most part. Like it's very rare that games. I even say games usually don't last longer than 3 turns right now. I've watched a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the last 6 weeks, and games do not go past turn 3 often.
They still take 40 minutes.
They do. They still go into time. They still take 40 minutes because literally, if you watch a Drytron player play their first turn, it can take 10 minutes to complete their. Like it can literally take 10 minutes, maybe like 7 or 8, but that's still a long ass time.
Of them just going in their deck. That's
still a long ass time to be like comboing off and then having to ask for response. Because I'm a very polite person when I'm dueling. I like to ask for responses. And if a person tells me just do everything, I kind of still might ask for response.
I don't trust them.
I don't either. I don't like that response. So I'll still will annoy the fuck out of you. Like I'll be like, summon anything, no, and I'll keep like, but I won't just literally play out my whole combo. And then you're like, I'm gonna nib now. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna catch me like that. Like I'm gonna ask for a response after every single thing I do. So most games, they are turn 1, set up board, pass, your opponent then tries to break board. If they don't break board, they lose. If they do break board, a lot of times it's over the other way, and then it's like turn 3, you might draw, and if they didn't break your board, you kill them. Like it's just like simple access code, you die. Like there's no a lot of people just scoop, honestly. Like they take their turn and they're like, I couldn't break your Beatrice Herald, like I just lose. And they just pick their cards up. Some people are like, no, I'm going to pretend like I have something. They might set 2 back row, make you think it's a strike or something, and then they like pass, and then you just kill them anyway, and it's like that was a waste of everybody's time. But for the most part, games are like 3 turns max, like one real battle phase per game I'm seeing. Like they just end, then they just end. Like you get I see 1 battle phase game.
There's not much room for bluffing in current Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, like you can try to act like you have the hand trap, but I'm going to keep playing anyway. Like
because for a lot of players, even now, like the way I like compartmentalize Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like a checklist. You know what I mean? Like like easiest way is like during the cross format, right? Like you make your first move, right? You start off with Brio, and you check with Brio because if you start with Manju and they had shared ride, you lose.
Yes.
So if you Brio and they shared ride, you don't die because you're at least you might have the battle stuff, right? And that's like a big part of like new Yu-Gi-Oh! That old Yu-Gi-Oh! Players just hate.
Yeah,
they hate this like checklist system, but all that's been done is like make Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot more not friendly, but streamlined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about like old players and new players. Like old players like really want this like really interactive thing, and the new players hate interactivity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then like the best players are just both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can just do both at any time.
Yeah. Yeah, I value both of those skills. I value being
Mhm.
able to play the long game. So when games go past turn 3, it gets so awkward. You can tell who's like a newer player or
Who's
like
never been in that situation
yes.
ever in their life?
Like I'm telling you, one Mystic Mind will show you who someone really is. If you want to see who someone really is, fucking activate Mystic Mind and watch how they react to it. I'm serious. I'm Ed. I'm sure you've seen
I
it.
know. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah.
you've seen it. So yeah, that's a really interesting thing. And then what else? So how do you feel about the Phantom Knight deck? Like Phantom Knight BA or like Phantom Knights in general?
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how good it is compared to how fun it is.
Yes, because it looks fun. Like a lot of one card combos with like the whatever that new guy is, the new crazy Phantom Knight, Torn Scales or something like that.
Torn Scales, yes.
That card is crazy. And if you open any 2-3-star monsters, I watched Bobby Kenny's YouTube stuff. Like he posted some because he topped I think the YCS or something. So I was watching his because he played like a 57 card Phantom Knight deck.
Yeah, that's a Dragoons deck, by the way. Like
okay.
that is literally the definition of a Dragoons.
Yes,
deck.
It summons Dragoons, but it also summons like Appaloosa, and it gets like Fog Blade set and all. I like that because it's a combo deck, so it does whatever your other deck does. If it goes first, it kind of wins the game turn 1. Like if you don't answer my turn 1 board, you do die turn 2. Like every other deck does that, so that's not special. I wonder if it has the same resilience that old BA used to have, where a lot of hand traps don't affect it as much, because that was BA's strength, is that like people can main deck all these hand traps. They don't really do shit against BA. Yeah. And I'm not sure if that deck is the same.
So I like Phantom Knight a lot because I love like the Swiss Army decks.
Yeah.
Like the decks where it's like it has like a extra deck card or a main deck answer for like every situation. And that's what Phantom Knight is. Like it's super versatile. Like it can do like a bunch of different things. So that's why I like it.
With a little bit of cards too.
With a little bit of cards. Yeah. My main issue with that deck is I think what is it called? Tri-Brigade does everything that the deck does, but a lot safer. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like it doesn't play into Nib as hard. But the thing about it is like Phantom Knight can just push. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So I've been messing around a lot with it. Also, like I think Ready Fusion is a problem. Like that card is not going to be at 1, 2, 3 years from now. You know what I mean?
So wait, Ready Fusion is the new instant fusion, right?
Yes, it is the new instant fusion.
And it summons a normal monster from your extra deck, like a normal fusion monster?
Normal fusion monster, yes.
So why is that broken? Because I actually read the card. I don't know what it's supposed to do. I haven't watched any combo videos, and I haven't seen anyone at locals playing it either. I just
yeah. I love what is it called? Like making combos and doing like dumb stuff like that. Yeah. So like Ready Fusion is like a card I like play all the time. But like the thing is, like how often did instant fusion actually summon something that had a relevant effect? You know what I mean?
Except Norden. Outside of fucking Norden.
Norden and Winda are the only two, and the Warrior one. But the Warrior one, it was a benefit that it just book a moon. But in all reality, it could have just been any warrior.
Yeah.
And it's just that it gives decks an extender. That just shouldn't have an extender. Also, like Halka Fibrax exists, right? And they literally printed a level 2 tuner you could summon off of Ready Fusion. You know what I mean?
So that's what makes it good, is that it can basically be an extender for every deck that needs one. And like you said, it kind of shouldn't exist. Like it's just one of those, like this spell card gives me another monster.
Yeah. So like warriors should not have emergency teleport for a warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Insects right now should not have one for insects. Like I don't think the insect deck is that good right now, but that like a year from now, like they just come up with a combo, and now Ready Fusion's like $70 because it can summon a level 6 vanilla insect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now that makes sense actually. So it can get into your type specific link monsters because summon this insect link monster. I don't care what the link monster is. As long as it's an insect, I can make my play and then just kind of continue on. That makes sense. Or just, go into Dragoons at any point.
Yeah. Just that. At worst, it is a half of a Dragoons,
Yes. So, like you said, like the Nibiru token is also just enough.
Yeah. You're doing a favor for him. No, but yeah. And Phantom Knight is one of those decks where, like you just said it yourself, a level 3, that's game,
Yeah, like
just having a level 3 is enough.
Yeah, it's really strong deck. It combos off like all the other decks. So Bobby played 57 cards, and I was talking to my friend about that. I don't know if it's necessary to play that many. I do understand the merit because I'm a really old school player, so I understand why you would want your deck to be that big. You don't want to draw Red Eyes, you don't want to draw Dark Magician, you don't want to draw actually. When I looked at his list, there's a lot of cards in that deck you do not want to draw.
Also, do you know Bobby Kenny personally?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, if you've ever followed Bobby Kenny, and I love Bobby Kenny. Like, I've worked with him with a lot of decks. Bobby Kenny like plays over 40 cards.
Always?
Like it's a religion. Like it's a religion.
That's like his thing.
And it's not one of those, like, you know how you have people that like ignorantly go, I play 45 cards all the time.
Yeah.
He just plays whatever number seems right. I've seen him play.
He doesn't play 60 either. He plays 57.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know him, but I did watch his videos, and I kind of like him because he is very informative and gets straight to the point. Like when you watch his combo video for the Phantom Knight deck, he has every single thing that he's going to search lined up perfectly on top of his deck.
Oh yeah. He's good for that.
He's good for that. I think that is so simple, but I think that is so fucking fantastic for a viewer to not have to watch you sift through your deck trying to find cards. Like he's like, and here you get a Fog Blade, and he just flips the top card and it's Fog Blade. He's like, and then you want to search this Phantom Knight, and then he flips the top card and it's that Phantom Knight. I love that. It's so simple, but I fucking love it. It also shows me that he knows his deck. He knows his deck really well. So I've seen some other decks at my local too, like Ed Acepcion, and the guy was like, oh yeah, I have 1 card towers. Like I just summon fucking towers with 1 card. Any of these cards is towers. And I was like, how is that okay? Like there's so Ed, my thing with Yu-Gi-Oh right now is there are so many decks that do ridiculous shit turn 1. And my question is always, how come more people are not doing this? Like what is the reason why more people are not playing something like Ed Acepcion? There has to be something wrong with it, I assume. I just don't know what it is because I only watched like 1 duel. So
I have this like crackpot theory that like everyone's stuck in COVID format, right? where everyone just plays what they want.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I'm noticing too.
Yeah, so like, you know, if I was like, hey Frazier, come play Yu-Gi-Oh with me.
Yeah.
And then I give you 7 decks you've never heard and 1 deck you kind of are familiar with.
I probably just pick that one.
You're going to gravitate towards that because that's just easy, right?
Yeah.
And the thing with COVID is we're all just looking for an escape. We're all just looking for something, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know,
get deep on us, Ed. We're all just looking for escape.
Yeah, exactly. No, just imagine, you know, you got COVID, you're sick, you're stuck inside. I'm not trying to learn combos, you know. I'm just trying to summon something I once topped with 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and that's what everyone does right now.
In terms of new cards, I just want to play that Dragon Maid deck. I don't think it's new anymore, but I'm a weeb, and I was like, hey, these Dragon Maids look cool as shit.
They do look cool.
That deck is good. That deck is solid. So I'm a big thumbs up.
Is that deck expensive? If that deck's not expensive, I'll pick it up.
The 1 card that you need to play 3 of is $80 each. So I don't know if that.
Wait till shit gets reprinted, Kenny, and then we'll get you 3.
We're in it.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna play Dragon.
She'll inevitably get reprinted, and this will not be a problem. So the deck that Sean McCabe is currently playing is Shadal, and it's exactly what you just said. He came back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Like literally 4 weeks ago, and he did here's 10 decks. They're all good. Which one do you want to play? And obviously, McCabe hasn't played in fucking 5 or something years, so he immediately picked the Shadal deck. That's a deck that he literally remembers. Oh, this is easy. Like
if only X Sabers was on that list.
You said what?
I said if only X Sabers was on that list.
Right. Oh God. Yeah. So he plays Shadal, and he doesn't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Really, like every week we make fun of each other about how much we don't know. Because every time he plays an opponent at my local has a lot of people, and they all play different decks. So every single Thursday when McCabe plays, I just follow him around and watch his matches, and we laugh at each other about how much we don't know. Like every opponent does something fucking way different than the last one. So we saw the Ed Acepcion deck. McCabe had to read every single card. Obviously, he doesn't know what's going on. So the guy's just doing all of this shit with these slime-looking things, and he struggles through that. Then the next round he plays against fucking Heroes, and the guy's playing like Dark Honest.
And Hero doesn't do the same thing it did like 5 years ago.
Oh no, not even a little bit.
Not
even a little bit. So McCabe was confused on everything the guy did that round, and then the next guy's playing Prankheads, and McCabe doesn't know what any of those cards do. So it's just funny. But at the end of the day, he'll go like, you know, Shadal Fusion or Super Poly or like Invocation, basically clear their board, set up a window, and just pray. And that has beaten so many people.
Yeah.
So many people literally can't deal with like turn 1, game 1. I'm playing Super Poly. You summon whatever the fuck you summon. Can I Super Poly it? Game's over. Can I not? Okay, I probably lose. And then after that, establish a window. Most people can't deal. And it's been like really simplified Yu-Gi-Oh! Where he doesn't have to know too much, but it's just really funny to me how many decks there are playable and how Shadol is still holding on with just window.
I think Shadal is very playable, by the way. That is like a very good deck. Yeah.
I can tell because of double window, like when you set up the schism with window, it's just too much. So Kenny, just in case, Shadal Winda, she says that both players can only special summon one monster per turn. She basically locks down current Yu-Gi-Oh! Like a lot. Like every deck can just lose to that.
You know what's sick? I get to be the POV for anybody listening that doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
Whenever you're like, all right, just in case, we'll explain it to Kenny, and that'll work for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, like Winda is wild. She came out in 2014. One of my favorite formats.
And you know, she wasn't the banned one. That's the thing that I think is crazy.
Yeah. Like they didn't ban the floodgate. They banned the construct.
Yeah, they banned the construct.
Yeah. But now Shadal's I also love. So maybe it has to be nostalgia, but I love watching Shadal's be summoned. Like I love watching the fusions come out and everything. Like the new artwork on Construct, the alternate art. I don't know what's going on with Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I left, but there's a lot of alternate art cards that I just think that's so fucking cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other day, I saw an alternate art Droll and Lockbird, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't even know that was Droll in your hand. Like the guy had Droll the whole time. I didn't even know it was Droll.
Yeah.
And
you know what they need
construct,
to do?
I thought the new construct was a different card. Like I didn't even know that was construct.
You thought it was like a remade construct.
I thought it was something else. I was like, what is that? Like, I was like, is that a power crep construct? It was like, no, it's literally construct.
You know what they should start doing, man? They should hire some of those artists and start making extended arts, like official extended art.
Yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Why do we not have?
Well, the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh, man, is Yu-Gi-Oh can print money. Can literally print money
at any point,
but it with like 10 different ideas.
Yes,
but then they just don't.
Yeah, because like extended arts would be crazy.
Yes, I would love it. Extended like Starlight Rare is literally them printing money right now. Like those cards are worth so much money.
I love Starlight Rare is the best rare.
They're worth.
I'm gonna Google that. I want to see what that looks like. I don't know what that looks like.
It is obnoxiously shiny.
Yeah,
like, that's my favorite part.
Some of the cards are literally worth over $1,000.
Yes,
like because they're that rare, and like the rarity to me, I don't care for. I prefer Ultimate Rare is like my favorite rarity in Yu-Gi-Oh. Just because like I was around when Ultimate Rare came out, a boomer thing to say.
Yeah, when it meant something. When it was like
exactly.
Starlight Rare really is OD. Oh, it looks like, you know what it looks like? Remember them old school, like the fake Chinese cards that were like stickers or something?
Oh yeah.
Remember them old? They were like, yeah, and they would usually be stickers. Like you could peel them off. I don't know. That's what it kind of looks like.
They were really thick, like Hobby League.
But that is pretty nuts.
But yeah, I love Ultimate Rare, and I remember Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. Like when I first started getting into Ultimate Rares as a kid, that card looks insane. Ultimate Rare, like Sacred Phoenix looks so good. Ultimate.
I think my favorite rarity is Ghost Rares. Like Ghost Rare Stardust was so sick to me.
Yeah,
I like Super and Secret Ultimates, but those are like the
OGs,
the high rarity ones.
Yeah.
But if I could have a deck, honestly, if I could have, and you know that's a thing that used to be said on like DGZ and Pojo all the time. I wish they did. If you win a YCS, you can get you can get your deck in any rarity.
Oh my god!
If they would do that, I would cry. I
would play Yu-Gi-Oh again
just for that, right?
Well, yeah, because that would be so fucking cool to like immortalize a deck.
Yes. And then you gotta always have a part of that deck with you, because at worst you just dude, I have Ultimate Rare. I don't know, Heavy Storms now, or like random things.
Also, that prize will be over 100K.
True.
Because of how bad prices have gotten, and because you will be the only person that has a lot of those cards, like it would be actually insane how expensive some of the cards would be.
Oh, you know what would be sick? So I know you're saying like basically they become one-ofs, right? Like your deck and whatever rarity you want, but it basically would be a one-off, would only be for you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But what if that would be cool, and that would be the more exclusive one? But what if they did something different where, let's say, I'm just going to use Pot of Greed as an example because that's the first card that came in my head. And let's say Pot of Greed was never printed as an Ultimate Rare. I don't know if it has or hasn't. Let's say it hasn't. So you get, basically, Frazier wins a YCS, and when they print these cards, and they're in this rarity, and then on the thing where it's like the name of the pack, it says like FRZ, like for Frazier.
Oh yeah,
would be-
yeah, yeah.
Like that would be crazy.
You know, Pokemon does that, right?
Really?
No, that's
Yeah.
nuts.
So whenever, again, I don't play as much Pokemon as Yu-Gi-Oh, so bear with me. But then, bless you, by the way. What is it called? If you win the World Championships, you get structure decks made for you.
Oh,
That's wild.
And it
That's
has
so
like
sick.
it's not tournament legal, but then it's it's a collector item. 2, it immortalizes you, and 3, it's a proxy. It's a thing that people can just buy, proxy out what is the best deck. It's a way to introduce people to the best decks. You know what I mean?
So cool.
And it is such like a wonderful small idea, but look at us, like
That's
like
so
we
cool.
just heard it. You guys just heard it for the first time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
no, we're fucking excited. We're
I'm
children.
geeking.
Konami could just do that, and then
Yes.
we would just be nuts about it for like the next 5 years.
Yeah, because in my head, I'm thinking this structure deck has like original art as like of that person, but as a Pokemon character, like as a Pokemon trainer, he's on the box. Could you imagine? I'll just use Frazier or Ed as an example. They win a YCS, right? And then a structure deck comes out and it's got Ed on it, but he's got like fucking Yuki hair, like
Yeah.
and he's got the card. Oh, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, ever since I saw those structure decks, I knew Pokemon. They've been doing that since like 2014 or something like that. That's when I first saw it.
Yeah.
And like I'm just always jealous of like every card game, like Yu-Gi-Oh.
I know, right? We do play like should I say this? We do play
the best game.
Yeah, we played the best game with probably the worst prize support. Period. Like the prize support is just so like less, and obviously, we don't play it for the prize support. That whole thing, yada yada yada. But it would be nice. It would be nice to actually have nice prize support.
What's frustrating is that better prize support can only help the game. It's like in Smash, right? Nintendo has one of, if not the biggest fighting game under them. It's super supported. People love it. And if Nintendo just supported it a little fucking bit, they could make more money off of it, and they could make people happy, and they could make even more people get into it. But for whatever reason, they're like, no.
Yeah, it's really strange. And I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing with Japanese people not being as competitive, or like the culture. Like, I'm not really sure, but I hear that a lot, that it's just one of those things where the creator doesn't want the game to be super competitive, and Sakurai doesn't want Smash to be super competitive, and whoever, Kazuki Takahashi, never intended the game to be super competitive. So like it's always this thing of, we don't want it to be taken so seriously that people are playing for these prizes and going really hard for these prizes. They kind of want it to remain in a casual, just have fun, don't take this too seriously, go home to your regular life type of situation. And I get it, because in highly competitive environments, look at League of Legends, it can be very toxic what it does to people. And I think you probably understand this too, Ed. Like some of the most competitive environments can be so toxic as a community because the stakes are so high. But I still agree. Like, I agree with you, Kenny. Like, I'd rather us have support from Nintendo and support from Konami to have better pricing and things like that. Like,
also, I think just with the internet and just people in general, I think Ed made a good point earlier. He's saying how when he was getting into Yu-Gi-Oh, there was a lot of top players that were just mean or toxic or not good people or whatever, right? But there's been a sort of a change of the guard where he sees a lot of top players or good players now that are very friendly and are talking to people a lot. I think as time goes on and as word just spreads on the internet and stuff, a lot of communities can become better, right? Like,
yeah,
they can become better. People can be better people. The people that were treated like shit when they were younger, like, for example, I have a similar sort of like Frazier when he said he met that one guy and that guy put his headphones and walked away. I remember I went to a Sixers game with my dad when I was little, right? And my dad, he knew like the entrance. Basically, we went to like this back entrance after the game was over, and there was nobody there, no press, nothing, as the Sixers are coming out. I bought a basketball there that had Allen Iverson's face on it. Every single member of the Sixers signed that ball except Allen Iverson. He looked at me and just walked right past me.
Wow.
And I stood out there specifically waiting for Allen Iverson, right?
Yep.
So I will never, ever, 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 ever forget that. So if at some point I become famous or make it or whatever, first of all, I would never do that to somebody. And second of all, like, I'll never forget. You know what I mean? Like, I will never forget that. And like, if I have a platform where I could talk shit on Allen Iverson, I will.
Don't you do don't do AI like that. Don't do AI like that. I will say this in AI's defense. I just want to say this.
Yeah.
Entitlement with celebrities is kind of fucking toxic though. Like in his now you were a kid though, so
I was a kid. I was 7 or something.
Yeah, you were a kid. That's the difference. A lot of times though, I'm talking about grown ass people our age will think that because they spotted a celebrity that they're just supposed to take a picture with them. Or
100%.
Like now, we're in the
stories of Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has a story where somebody was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom, whatever." So Kevin Hart goes in, he takes a shit, and he said when he was in there for like 30 minutes, when he opened the stall, the guy was standing in front of the stall.
Oh my god!
Waiting for him. He was like, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "Can we take that picture now?" He's like, "Can we get out of the bathroom?"
Yeah, like dog, back up. Like there is a thing where, and I kind of empathize, with people who have this experience because I'm not gonna lie. And this isn't a small version of it. Like I'm not a celebrity by any means, but in the Yu-Gi-Oh world, there are a lot of events that I would have gone to in the past where I'm just kind of like maybe I lost my last round or maybe I won my last round and I just want to focus. And I'm walking around the event, just trying to maybe find my friends or something, and people will stop you and they will just start to, bro, do you know how I lost my last round? Or they just want to talk to you and you're not really in the mood for it. And there's nothing wrong with you not wanting to interact with people all the fucking time when they want to. Like, it's just one of those things that until it happens to you, it's kind of hard to explain, like to empathize with it. Like people don't really empathize with things that they don't have happen to them. Like people typically hate on things. And then when they experience it themselves, they're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Now they understand. But when you're walking around, and let's say you lost your last round, you're just kind of like not in a good mood. Like I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just not I'm not in the best of moods. And now people are walking up to you telling you like, I don't know, fucking stupid stories that you just don't care about at the time. And they want to take a picture or they want you to sign some cards. It's like, all right, I got like, I'll do it. But at the same time, it's just like, damn, I wish I could really take a break. I couldn't imagine being
because you're there for a tournament, not there to be looked at.
And that stuff is fun too. Like, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy attention from people who are like, I'm a fan of what you do. I'm a fan of like I used to write articles for ARG, and people would tell me all the time, like, I love your articles. It's like that. I don't mind that shit at all. It's just that 100% of the time, I'm not going to feel that way. Like 100% of the time, I'm just not going to be in the mood to like sign cards and take pictures and talk. And I don't think that there should be anything wrong with that. Like I shouldn't be demonized, or there shouldn't be a blog post about me if I chose to not. And I'm only saying this because literally one time, I believe it was either Kevin Hart or someone else. They were with their family and they were walking and somebody came up to them and was like, hey, take a picture with me. And he was like, no, I'm with my family. And they fucking went on a rant on the internet and tried to like demonize them. Like, you're the rudest celebrity. We pay your bills. Just talking crazy.
But that's where I think the moral is with all of this, like everybody can learn to be better and less toxic in all of these communities. Right? The people being walked up to, they can learn how to handle things in one way, but also the fans, so to speak, can learn that like, we're all still fucking people. You can't just treat me like an object because I won your favorite card game.
Yeah. So I just want to throw that out there just so that we don't like. So, but I get it. You were.
Said I was 7.
Yeah, you were 7, right? And he should have signed that fucking ball. And fuck him for not signing that ball.
His face was on it. I had a basketball with every.
You still have that ball?
I think my dad has it somewhere, but it's been so long. I'm pretty sure my dad has it in storage. But yeah, it had every single Sixers signature on it except for the guy whose face was on the ball.
That's crazy. Oh man, this has been a great conversation, Ed. I honestly enjoyed this podcast so much. Like something about talking to you is actually very easy, and you have such good insight. I don't know. I really like this a lot.
It was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it.
I didn't get to talk as much because I don't know as much about new Yu-Gi-Oh, but
that's the thing. Like Frazier told me to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, but like I don't know when I'm gonna be on this again. I just like talking about.
I do want to have you on.
I love story time. Like story time.
Yes,
we can.
The best.
We do it twice a week. We can have you on fucking whenever.
Yes, like we would love to bring you back. So if you're open to that, then we will set up something in the future where we'll have you again. Because I do want to talk about. So we only talked about Yu-Gi-Oh, but like. I don't know if you also like anime. I don't know if you also like video games. Like, there's a whole like you're a person.
Because the thing that people don't know if they're listening, like I like Frazier. Frazier's my friend, but I don't really know Frazier like that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Like
Exactly.
if we have good repertoire, that's cool and all, but like literally,
Yeah.
I've talked to Frazier maybe like 5 different events.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's it. So
yeah. So and that's kind of one of my my goals with this podcast is I know that, and then you're not the only person who feels this way. I'm a pretty private person overall. Like most people who know me from the Yu-Gi-Oh community, they don't actually know anything about me. They just kind of know like I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player and I'm a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player, but they don't really know outside of that. Like even on my Facebook, the things I post are just kind of like whatever. It's not like it doesn't really tell you too much about who I am as a person. So this podcast is a lot more informative on who I am and like who Kenny is and how we feel about.
I was gonna say like my favorite like content for any type of Yu-Gi-Oh is something that makes a person more human.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like my biggest like I could go on a whole spiel about like how Konami doesn't do that, but yeah, like literally like being human is the best part of playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So, like,
you know
you
what?
Wanna,
now that you said
give a
that,
short spiel, I'm interested in the short spiel of that.
Oh no, it's easy. I can just say in 2015, Magic the Gathering made a whole press release about how they want to sell the lifestyle of a pro player, and they made a bunch of documentaries and a bunch of stuff to sell that life and make that life look glamorous and great. And that it's a great life.
Yeah.
Konami doesn't do that. Like the thing that sickens me is we don't know who the champions are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know nothing about blank other champion.
Yeah.
But then if you told me about what's that guy, the Magic guy's name, John Finkel, I know he's a lawyer. I know he's blank and blank. I know he's Hall of Fame. I know a bunch of little stuff because Wizards of the Coast does stuff
and stuff like that's interesting, right? Like documentaries about anything. Like if you take a documentary about insert any guy that was great at something, it's interesting learning other. Like I just watched a documentary on Patrice O'Neal recently. But if you don't know Patrice O'Neal,
the comedian, right? The comedian.
Yeah, he was a great comedian. He never made it to the absolute top of the charts, and mainly because of the way he treated certain people and his outlook on life. But he was an amazing comedian. A lot of people call him the comedian's comedian, whatever. I was a fan of him for a long time, but I happened to also see a documentary and just seeing like things of pictures of him when he was a kid, like pictures of him as like a 10-year-old with his mom, and then learning about like the things he went through with the things he did as a kid. Like that stuff's really, really cool, and it's interesting, and it does humanize people more.
Yeah. Even the Michael Jordan documentary that came out recently, like that documentary, I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but I also know that Michael Jordan was like reigning when I was a kid, and I didn't really grow up. I didn't grow up knowing everything about him like my dad. Like my dad's obviously the biggest Michael Jordan fan because he was the best player when he was growing up and stuff like that, or when he was like raising me. He got to watch it and understand the game of basketball. He was already an adult. Whereas me, I don't really know that much about Michael outside of him winning 6 times. Like that, I kind of know he's like the GOAT.
Well, Michael's crazy. Like I love Michael Jordan.
Exactly. So
crazy.
When they did the documentary on him on Netflix, I watched it and I was like blown away by some of the stories because that just, like you said, it humanizes him.
Yeah, because there's so many times in Yu-Gi-Oh where we don't know the story of people, and that's so crazy because that's the best part.
Yeah, I also want to say this. So there was a time in Yu-Gi-Oh where when they would write feature matches out, they would in the beginning of the feature match just kind of give you some background on who the people were. And I used to love that. Like, I don't know if you were big on reading those feature matches back in the day, but I fucking loved the way features matches were like Frazier Smith hailing from Philadelphia, PA, 16 years old, pilot.
I make sure they say my locals, you know what I mean? Because I love that hometown, like this is what I represent type deal.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Can you guys hear that siren in the background?
I can.
Now I can.
Okay. All right. Well,
that means it's time. Died.
That means it's time to wrap the fuck up. But we just passed the 2-hour mark. And I fucking hate that we have to cut this short because honestly, this conversation I feel like can also go for 4 hours. But we're going to bring you back, Ed, and we're going to talk about more stuff than just the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff that we talked about today because you're just such a like big personality. So I really do want to like pick your brain more and then also bounce off of stuff that you do outside of Yu-Gi-Oh too, if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I got nothing better to do. I got nothing to do at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, you are a very decorated Yu-Gi-Oh player, and I do respect you, and I love that we've played multiple times. Now I got to see how you play, and you're pretty impressive to me. Like you're one of the most impressive players to me.
I have that status favorite, or I have it saved on my on my computer where it goes. So Ken, I don't know if you know this, but Frazier made a post about me like 4 or 5 years ago. Where he's like, these are the players that should have won an event by now, or like something like that. And then he names off people, and then when he named off one, 2 won right after he said it, or like one person, because I know Kamal won right after he said it.
Yep.
And then I was like, fuck. I don't like me. I normally don't. I love winning and all that, but like obviously I want to win.
Yeah.
But like
I want you to win so bad, Ed. I can't even. I want you to win so fucking bad.
I want you to win now too. I just met you. I didn't really know much about you until today. But
do you know what happened at Chicago? Wait, this is totally off. I don't want to. Oh, I appreciate it. You're awesome.
You're great. It was really fun talking to you. You're a fun personality, fun energy to talk to. So I'm an Ed fan now too. Like we got to get Ed a win. We got to get Ed a win.
So wait, what happened in Chicago? Let's end with this.
Oh, okay. So YC Chicago is one of my biggest Yu-Gi-Oh regrets in life. Well, it's not even a regret because I don't regret it, but it sucks. So I went undefeated in Swiss day one.
What year is this Chicago?
2019.
Oh, so recently. Okay.
Recently. I told Bowden. I told Bowden, like I was on the phone with him. I'm like, I'm gonna win this event. And then I finished day one undefeated 9-0 first in Swiss.
Damn.
And it's like not even close.
Playing what? What were you playing?
Orcus before everyone was playing Orcus.
Okay.
That's where I'm holding up. This is my attack deck.
Yeah.
Because
that's where this picture comes from.
I used to always be like, this is my attack deck. Like I don't do anything special. I just attack for 8,000.
Yeah.
And I just did that 12 rounds in a row. And I was in top 8. And then all my opponents, I just like the matches were not even close. Like my opponents can open up the nuts and I just win every game.
Damn.
And it's game 1, I'm attacking for game. However, I activated danger. I discard a card. Doesn't matter what I discard. Summon it, draw, and I put the card down. But when I put the card down, I pick it up and I go, that is Allure of Darkness. That is not in my main deck. Because I cited Allure because I don't know if you know what Sekka's Light is.
I do know what Sekka's Light is, yeah.
So I had a Sekka's Light in my deck. And when I wanted to side in Twin Twisters, backfield removal, I sided Allure. Because, I need to replace cards.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and then I said, this is game. But I look at it, and I go, you got it. And then I concede. And the guy didn't know why.
Yeah, he has no idea.
I had 5 judges behind me. 1, I'm not a cheater like that. And
right.
2, I'm not gonna risk getting banned from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, you know I respect you so much more for that.
Yeah,
too.
that's
yeah. And then
a lot of people would have kept that shit face down and then attack for game or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was one of those, and that's the thing. Like 9 different people whom I respect have said not what you said, but I would have just done it. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
No, but that shows a great strength of character there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not even going to try to cheat my way out of it. I'm not going to whatever. Like, I'll take it on the chin.
Yeah.
Your time will come though, for sure.
Yeah. And then ever since Frazier did that, I've tried because 2019 I was insane. I topped 4 times. I was like top 8, third. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to tear. That's also the that's the Thunder deck, right? Like that's that time. Yeah. Man. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna be fucking excited when you get that W, man. I'm gonna be so fucking happy because I've been watching you for a while, and like you said, I made a list of 5 people or whoever who I want to see win, and they just started knocking that shit down, and I'm like, damn. So I know your time's coming.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the IMNerd podcast. If you want to write in and let us know something that you want us to read out loud in the show, please write into imnerdpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we have a Patreon, we have a YouTube. So if you want to support the channel, if you want to have a chance to duel against Kenny or I, you can support us on Patreon. Let us know what you think. But we will be bringing Ed back because this is one of our best guests easily. I mean, you only have
subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yes. What's your
what does
YouTube
that say? I can't.
Oh, it's just hi. It's my YouTube channel is hi. I'm Ed. I don't make videos often. Like the last video I made is when I top 8 a case tournament 2 days before. But I've been meaning to make content recently.
It's hard. Trust me. It is harder to do than people think.
Yeah. It's just doing it is the tough part. You know what I mean? Getting started. Yeah.
So what is it again?
What's your YouTube I'm Ed.
Oh yeah, it's hi, I'm Ed. I'll just send you something so you can link it there.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the definitely do that because I could put the link in the description of the podcast episode, and I can also put the link in the description of when we upload this to YouTube eventually.
Yeah.
Because we always stagger the YouTube upload, but it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google and all that stuff. All right, well, see you guys later. We will be back soon.
So long.
Real quick, before we end this episode, I just want to give a special shout out to our patrons over at Patreon. We have Connie, Austin, Leon, Xavier, Garen, Quest, and Hylian. We appreciate you guys and keep rocking with us.